Hypocrisy.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Law-Splaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. And with me today is a very special guest, Mr. Colby Boothman. How you doing,
What's
man?
up? I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm great. A little tired from several weeks of constant streaming, but
Yeah, no kidding. You've been at it like morning until night. Apparently, you've got got a night show too.
Yep, it gets to be a bit much, but that's how trials go. They're busy, they're constant, and you got to follow them, especially when they're interesting like this one. There's so much public interest in what's going on. I'm only half sure why. I think people have a bunch of different ideas about it, and maybe we can talk about that as we go. But why don't we introduce you first? You are an actor, and you have some interesting credits, of course, that people have probably heard of. You were in Jurassic World, right?
Yep, that's I would say the most notable.
I don't know. I do see you were nerd number 2 in Beautiful Creatures.
True. That's really hard to compete with. It gets brought up a lot, and I really had to fight for that role. There was several rounds of auditioning, and fortunately, our director Richard LaGravenese decided to choose me as nerd number 2, and as you can see, the rest was history.
Well, that's not the only Jurassic World isn't the only one, though. I mean, that's your biggest movie credit for sure, but I bet that a comparable number of people have seen you in Star Wars Battlefront.
Yeah, but I don't exactly look like myself in that.
Right. But you have a pretty big role, though. You're Luke.
Yeah. So I did all the motion capture for Luke Skywalker in that franchise, the newer franchise, done by EA, and I was super fortunate to be able to do all that and the lightsaber work. And Lucasfilm brings me in every now and again to do various sword work for them.
See that, and that's like a way. I know, like, the Jurassic World credit has the big like movie title name, but that's way fucking cooler to me. The lightsaber, and I don't even like Star Wars, but I mean the mocap thing with the lightsaber fighting is awesome.
Yeah,
And,
it's cool. It's it's like an art and a dance in and of itself. So for me, I don't even consider that like my acting work. It's something that I kind of grew up sword fighting and had the fortune to work with Nick Gillard, who was the stunt coordinator and sword master of the Star Wars prequels. And through that and through him, I entered the world of Lucasfilm and have done some pretty cool projects with them.
You grew up sword fighting.
Yeah, so
this is a strange sort of origin story for me. Can you elaborate, please?
Yeah, it's real simple. This movie called The Phantom Menace came out and had some really cool lightsabers, and I want to do that. So the first thing I went and did was get some toy lightsabers. Fast forward a little bit later to when I was about 12. I'm about 10 years old, I think, is when I first started fencing.
Okay.
And when I heard about like, oh, there's a sport of sword fighting and I can do this, I heard about it. And I was in a pretty small school in Rhode Island at the time. And I had talked to our head of like PE.
Right.
And, I just asked him about fencing, and he was able to bring in some local instructors from a school called Rhode Island Fencing Academy.
Wait, was this a public school or a private school?
It was a charter school.
A charter school.
So it was a very small classes. Class size was about 13.
Yeah, but still, that's cool. Like, so you're like, well, let me just go to wait, you're 10 at the time?
Yeah.
You're 10 years old. Like, I'm going to go to the PE guy and be like, hey, I heard there's a thing called fencing. He's like, yeah, let me bring in some local fencing coaches. I mean, That's not the average experience.
No, I was really fortunate to be able to have, that kind of wealth of education at my fingertips. For better or worse, it was a very small school that was brand new, and they were still kind of getting their feet on the ground, and I was just another subject of experimentation while they were trying to plant their feet. But there were a lot of opportunities that I'm super grateful for, and being able to have these electives and to have a bit more control over early education was pretty important.
Yeah,
Uh,
see, I agree. My buddy actually is he's with a group of people. They founded a charter school in the Twin Cities here in Minnesota, and like watching him work through all of these types of issues, trying to provide that sort of education alternative where they don't go with the public school pedagogy, but rather they try to they use the classics. It's a classical education,
mhm,
focuses on classical literature and other sort of older ways of older ways of teaching. And watching them navigate that's pretty cool. And the value that it brings to kids and their families is pretty neat to see. It's funny to me because I think of the schools that I was going to when I was like 9 or 10. When I was 9, if I would have asked if they would have brought in fencing, I probably would have just been punched by the gym teacher, who was a terrifying lesbian woman. And then when I was 10, I had moved. That was in Houston, Texas, in the city.
mhm,
And then when I was 10, I moved up to Minnesota, and it was completely different reasons because I'm pretty sure that gym teacher that we had, Mr. Moore. I know you're out there, Mr. Moore. He actually did physically assault one of my friends. So I think he might have actually punched me, but for, it was a little bit of a different community up in Minnesota. So
fair
it
enough.
was weird stuff. We didn't get fencing. So okay, I don't know hardly anything about fencing, but I'm curious. Did you do foil or saber? Those are two
Yeah.
of the
So
categories.
there are three weapons, and it's foil,
Okay.
epee, and saber.
Right.
Foil and saber have what's called right of way, which is where you have somebody has to be on the attack in order to score a
Sure.
touch. Um, and epee is there's no right of way, and full body is contact. So
Okay,
if
so with
I hit somebody on the toe in epee, I'll get a touch. Hit them in the head, wherever.
gotcha.
Um, my primary weapon is foil. I've done epee. I've played around with saber just for the fun of it. But foil is my main weapon.
Okay, so you do fencing for how long? Like forever?
Yeah. So
How old are you,
I'm
if I may
29.
ask? 29. Okay.
Yeah.
You never know because like
I tried to look a little older. I chose not to shave. And whenever I shave, I look like I'm maybe 21, and then when they put the makeup on, I'm like 17. So
cuz yeah, in Jurassic World, you're the kid who almost gets eaten by a raptor. But that was 2015, so that was 7 years ago. So
mhm.
you're 22 then,
Yeah. So when
right?
we filmed, I had just turned 21.
Okay.
Uh,
What
and
was
when it
it
released, I had just turned 22.
what was it like having your life saved by Chris Pratt?
Fantastic. Honestly, best decision he's ever made.
So, okay, so you're 29. I just trying to get a feel for things. So, okay, so you do fencing for a really long time, and
Mhm.
then you decide to, I don't, how do you, what the hell gets you into acting and then sword play with Lucasfilm? Like, how does this transition work for? Because I think that's one of the things that people don't know about this sort of profession. Um, how do you get into it? Like where you go to a charter school and then what? What's the progression?
Everybody kind of has their own story. There's not a right way to get into film. What I always recommend to people is if like this is a career that you want, first of all, make it a hobby because it is nobody makes it in this industry. I've been
Right.
very fortunate. I fell right into the industry, and I've told the story a million times, and it's impossible to replicate. But I was in New Orleans um, when I graduated high school. So uh, basically, back in 2010 when I graduated, New Orleans was the film capital of the world. My mom was working there, doing a lot of post Katrina work, um, and helping to rebuild all the schools in New Orleans.
Sure.
And my dad, through a friend, had found out that you could be extras on movies. And so, while my senior year of high school, my dad was just going off and basically playing a cop or a lawyer or an internet billionaire in every single TV show movie that would come through New Orleans, which to me was just the coolest thing in the world. Everybody would would have the opportunity to work on a movie like that. We'll just jump into it. So coming out of high school, I had turned 18, which is when they really actually let you work on things. And my dad had sent my photo over to the kind of extras casting for a movie called Green Lantern. Um, and so they have this gigantic ending scene, uh, where the monster Parallax comes into downtown New Orleans and just terrorizes the city. And
Right.
so my first day on set was while they were filming that. A giant, massive blockbuster movie with helicopters and cranes, um, hundreds of people, stunt people everywhere. And that was like my introduction to movies, being on a movie set. Um, and so we go through, we do a couple takes. I'm just running around, being chased by a monster with hundreds of people around me.
Sure.
And we like pause between takes, and I get approached by the director, Martin Campbell, um, who isn't really supposed to approach extras.
Right.
And I had, just long flowing hair that he noticed, and he just liked the look that I had, and so he introduced me to the stunt coordinator. He's like, "Oh yeah, I just want to introduce you. This is our stunt coordinator. We've got a scene coming up. We'd like to just get you a little closer to camera. Um, there's this cable that it's coming from the rooftop of one of the skyscrapers over here, and there's a camera on it that zips down on a cable about 60 miles an hour. And so we want you to run about 3 feet from this camera with a bunch of other stunt people." Um,
Okay.
I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure, this is normal. Um, sure, so let's do it." And so my first day on set, I immediately got thrown into the world of basically movie stunts.
Wait. So you're a kid, hundreds of people around, and you're running from a monster.
Hmm.
It's like Subway shooting a commercial at Disneyland with Jared, right? Like, is that?
Hopefully not with Jared.
I'm
Um,
kidding. I'm kidding. Okay, so you get launched into this thing,
mhm,
and you're this I didn't even notice the Green Lantern credit, but it's a stunt credit
mhm,
is why
yeah,
on your IMDb. It's not a actor credit.
no
So
stunts.
I don't
I
see it.
got I got thrown into the world of stunts, and we would do some weapon stuff here and there, and I had a lot of experience with obviously weapons, firearms. So it just kind of made sense as an easy way into the industry. Uh,
Sure. So 2011, you're still pretty young at this point.
yeah,
When that
19.
was going on. Okay,
Mhm.
gotcha. So, what other stuff have you done, like, with weapons in Hollywood, or because I know IMDb doesn't grab everything, and
Yeah,
so I only have, like, what's on here, but is there stuff that you've done that's not on there? Like, what maybe we should back up. Is acting your primary, like, gig, or do you
yeah,
do something else
absolutely.
too?
Yeah, no, it's absolutely acting. Um,
Okay,
that it just when you start off in this industry, you're just trying to. It's fun, and you want to do it as much as you can, and so you just explore every way that you can, get your foot in the door,
right,
and it's difficult to be able to do that. You have to really kick down every door that you possibly can. Some people do it from being a production assistant or trying to do camera work, stunt work, acting, directing, hair, makeup. It's just a fun industry, and a lot of people want to be involved. And getting any job in film is difficult.
Right.
Uh,
Well, because there's a billion people who want it, and there aren't that many jobs.
no, yeah, something in terms of people who want to be actors or actresses. There's some statistics I always run by them just so that they can have a real idea of what this industry is. Um, it's impossible to, essentially to really do it. 100 and I think last I looked, it was 160,000 women move to Los Angeles every year, pre-COVID,
Yeah.
to become actresses, and then at the end of the year, 30,000 are left in the city. That doesn't mean working. That doesn't mean anything. That's just 30,000 are still in the city that move there to try and be in that industry. You have for every 500 people that try to become an actor and get into the Screen Actors Guild, maybe one of them will become eligible to join our union, the Screen Actors Guild. And of that, maybe 500 people that tried to get in, you get that one person.
Right.
Now, once you've joined the union, you've paid your $3,500 um, initiation fees and everything. 97%, I think, make less than $7,000 a year.
Yeah.
That's
So,
in the union.
so you say 1 in 500 makes it into the union.
Hmm.
So when Alec Baldwin shoots one person, it's like he's shooting 500. I'm sorry.
Or like 20,000 maybe.
Yeah. I don't know if you're familiar with my night show, but like spicy jokes and everything are
Send it.
all in. Everything's so,
Yeah.
I hope I don't get you fired. That's all. Okay, so you get in the you get in the union, and then you have to pay for it. But you said, yeah, most people make less than 7,000 a year because you get like one gig, right? Like
Mhm.
it's there's no guaranteed work.
Oh yeah, no, it's tough, and people are fighting just to make one line. They're just they actors are fighting for one line in a lifetime. Which, to be honest, if uh, you know if a Lifetime movie came across my desk, I wouldn't even look at the script. Um, Maybe if it were a Christmas special or something like that, because the royalties are actually somewhat decent. But
Right.
I'm in a fortunate position where, um, for me, it's not about how much something is paying, or uh, I don't have to fight for every little piece. For me, I'm only interested in things that are quality, that have people that are talented that I want to work with, and something that I think will give longevity to my career, as opposed to trying to get in every under five role, or sorry, under five line role that comes my way. It's just not something that I'm interested in. Something has to have good script, good talent, good directors, or I'm just not going to bother with it. I think a lot of people forget that in this industry, everything that you do is very public, and you're judged by the worst thing that you ever do. So for me, it's just not worth my time on a whatever terrible TV show that's not going to make me look good as a professional.
Yeah, and I feel like people who enter into that world of like the Lifetime movie, they get stuck there, right? Like they're in all of them is how it kind of feels.
Hmm.
Uh what about a Steven Seagal movie? Would you do that? Like a new one, not when he was like popular in the 90s, but like a new Steven Seagal movie. Cuz he does like 27 of those a year.
If he would be willing to improve his choreography, maybe I could help him with that. Would he listen? I don't know.
I don't know if Steven Seagal listens to anybody. Every picture I see him, he's
Yeah,
the same. He looks the exact same. And when I say the exact same, I mean hilarious.
he's
I
been
love
doing
that
this for
guy.
God knows how long, and he still doesn't know how to properly hold a firearm.
No, it's like this or whatever,
Uh huh.
right? Like,
Yeah,
so, so
it's called a magazine, not a clip.
No, it's a clip and it's killing our seals. You need come on, Colby, get with the program. Do you have a budding music career? Like for when your acting career dies down, you can
I DJ a lot.
really
Yeah, I've got an album I've been working on for about a year. All EDM stuff. To me, that's just a hobby. It's not something I need to rely on. But I've been fortunate to play
right.
some really interesting festivals, experiences. If you remember the Storm Area 51, They Can't Stop Us All thing.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was a wild trip. That turned
Wait,
into
you
a
were out
couple.
there?
Yeah, I closed both the music festivals that turned into. That
That's
was, I mean, I
fantastic.
could go on a tear of what the behind the scenes of what absolute chaos that was. I mean, I think so you had the dudes who ran the Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Pornhub paid them 70 grand to promote them in some capacity. That
Mhm.
money all disappeared. There's several lawsuits that have been ongoing. So if you want to look into the litigation that is Storm Area 51, that's a rabbit hole to go down. That was a fun experience. We didn't know what to expect. It kind of ended up just being like a pop-up Burning Man for the main event, and then there was another the people who do the events for MGM, uh, MGM Mirage. They had their own event out in the desert that me and Paul Oakenfold played.
Whoa,
Uh,
Paul's a big name.
yeah, I think we had $300,000 worth of uh, like
Speakers.
production out there. The company spent 300 grand to put this event together. We had 100 people in the middle of the desert there with us.
Yeah.
So they did not get their money's worth
No.
at all. It was still super fun though. It's just me and Paul just playing to like 100 people in the desert. So
But
we had a
was Paul
great
just
sound
looking around
system.
like, "Why the hell am I here? Like, what happened?"
Yeah, well, they kind of they told us that they had like 1,000 tickets pre-sold, and there weren't. They were
Sure.
charging, I think, $50 at the door for an event that most people figured were going to be free. So you have families of like just cars pulling up, parking lot was full. Like, the line of people interested to get in was there, and then as soon as people found it was like $50, and there was nobody inside, this closed off space. No,
Right.
no one's going to go.
Yeah.
So
And pay $50 to be
yeah,
alone. Like, I could just
what are
be
they going to
alone
make?
anywhere.
$200 for a family of 4 to go and check out some merch booths where people are selling some alien t-shirts? No, thanks.
Wait, did people bring their families to the Storm Area 51 thing?
Yeah, they did. Yeah. Yep.
I know I wanna be chasing all of my children around the fricking desert,
I
near a
honestly,
military base.
yeah, it was really just a bunch of YouTubers and media and just people with cameras. Like everywhere you looked, there was just Reds, Aries, news crews. So it was basically a bunch of entertainment industry filming themselves.
Yeah, that's God, it's okay, so, can we kinda use that to talk about, I guess, the culture of Hollywood? Because
Mhm.
so your tweet to me was really interesting, and it caught my attention, because I made fun of Jurassic World a little bit,
Yeah.
because I did see the first Jurassic World, because I saw Jurassic Park when it came out, right? Like, my
Mhm.
grandma took me to go see it in theaters. I thought it was really cool. I thought Jurassic Park 2 was an absolute disaster. Jurassic Park 3 wasn't really any better. So but I go to see Jurassic World because it's like a reboot. It's got Chris Pratt in it. It seems like it might be cool. And I was like, I wasn't a huge fan. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. And for me, it wasn't a big thing. I made fun of it a little bit the other day, and then you tweeted out something really interesting. You said, "Hey, don't make fun of my movie," right? As a joke. But then you said if I was looking for an example of someone who was in one of those big franchise movies, which they were talking about with Amber Heard,
Yeah.
right? There's like, oh, well, if you get a role in one of these big franchise movies, that's your breakout moment, and
No.
you're off to the races.
No. You'll make some money off that movie, but if you if you have a good contract on it and some points on the back end. Um, but the reality is being in a big movie doesn't guarantee you anything. If anything else, it's harder to get work once you've done big projects because you're forever tied to those things that you do. I mean, if
Right.
I wanted to do what you see a lot of the Star Wars actors do and just milk that fan base, I could. And it just becomes a full-time job of being on social media trying to chase an established fan base to kind of be
Run
pointed in your
from
direction. You know,
convention to convention,
yeah, I was
right?
talking about this earlier with a friend where, if like some of these actors that were in the original Star Wars movies or some of the newer ones, if they were, third alien from the right in the cantina, they'll
Yeah.
be signing autographs for that for the rest of their life, which is phenomenal and it's a great thing to be a part of. But I just don't want to be chasing that my life. It's just not worth it to me. I'd rather be doing things that are fun and producing, writing, DJing, and with Paul Oakenfold in the middle of a desert. Like, I don't know. I'm not going to chase this industry the way that some people will. I just do what I want.
Yeah. So I guess the question is like what is the culture of Hollywood like when you don't have the breakthrough moment? And to me, it seems like pretty much any other job that you have like I shouldn't say any other job, but a lot of industries like sales, for example, you have the 98% who will never make it. You have the 2% who make it in the business in some capacity, and then you have like the 1% of the 2% who really crush it. And that seems to be something similar to Hollywood. Is that like about right? I mean, the numbers you mentioned seem much more bleak than that.
Yeah, it's whatever the hardest industry you've ever heard of. That's it. It is like if you want to go to Harvard Law School or Harvard Med or something like that, it's 10 times harder than that could possibly touch.
Sure.
Just because the numbers are just outrageous. If you want to have a successful career and go to like the Ivy League and be the top 1% of your classes, that's you can be incredibly successful if you're the top 1%, the top point one, that one in a thousand. If you're that one in a thousand trying to get in the film industry, at least in terms of being an actor, uh, you're that person who made that one line in a Lifetime movie and got paid
Sure.
whatever $1,000 for the day, and then got sent home, and that was your moment. That's just the truth of the industry is you're going up against hundreds of thousands of people. I know for Jurassic World, for instance, I think it was something like 3,000 agencies, not actors or anything, like 3,000 agencies pitching their actors for that one role um, that I went up for. You have every single person fighting for a role like that, and most of them will never get looked at because they don't have the right agent to get them seen. You know, getting a
Right.
good agent is incredibly important if you want to get on bigger projects. Uh, to get the right auditions, you have to have agents that have substance. In order to get an agent of substance, you have to have done something notable.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, because they don't have time. I
yeah,
mean, they've got other clients, and your marketability is their paycheck.
yep,
So you have to do something to show that you can do something, so then they can get you to try and get you to do something bigger.
yeah. So in
Um,
order to get a good agent, you have to have experience and done something that proved your worth. In order to have proved your worth, you have to have a good agent. So
right.
how do you find your way around that cycle to break in?
Well,
And for me, it was falling back on sword fighting. What's something that you're one of the very best at and makes you stand above everybody else? And I've never
sure.
done sword fighting in a movie or anything. I've done it obviously for Star Wars, and I've had plenty of success there, but I've still never even done it for movies, and I couldn't tell you why.
Okay, so there's a bunch of rumors out there about how people do break into Hollywood. And
Mhm.
so can you like, without getting too detailed, right? Can you speak to any of that? Like, cause
Yeah, yeah.
I
Plenty
mean,
of
there's
nepotism. The most important things in this industry, and really any industry, is like, who do you know? Who's your family? How much money do you have?
right,
Because if you don't have a, a support net, if you don't have something to allow you to continue to do this industry, you're not going to be able to. It's very expensive. You have to pay for auditions. You have to go to get studio quality tapings, especially right now because everything is digital. Nothing is in person. You have to tape everything. For me, I go to a studio. It's going to cost me $100 to tape an audition, put a single audition on tape. I might have 5 this week. You know,
sure,
I'm out of pocket $500 just on that.
right,
You have to travel if you have callbacks. They don't. They usually don't pay for that. If I got to go to Sony in Culver City because the Coen brothers want to meet with me on whatever TV show they brought me in to read for. That's still on my dime. And then so I've got to fly myself out there last minute to Los Angeles. That's going to be what next $1,000
so
minimum.
you don't live in LA?
No, no. It LA is super overpriced, and the reality is
Yeah,
this industry is digital. If you're a producer, a writer, um, and are doing more behind the scenes work, editing, things that require you to be on the lots, and in a lot more meetings, that's when you find yourself in LA. But for actors, we have things are very digital, and so we have the fortune of being able to live elsewhere right now, which is a lot more flexible and more fun.
sure.
LA is a grind, and it's a lot of fake people doing whatever they can to get themselves in the industry, smile at your face, and stab you in the back.
Right. So there's nepotism, but okay. So like I guess one of the large critics of Hollywood and specifically like sort of teenager adolescent acting is Corey Feldman,
Hmm.
who came up, and his allegations are a little more sinister than just nepotism. Is there truth to that? Is that something that not that you've had to navigate, but that people who have had to navigate those sort of situations, and
Do
or is
you
that
would you mind being a little more specific? I'm less familiar with his
Oh, okay.
case.
Well, basically, that allegations of sexual impropriety
Hmm.
uh, being being involved in casting, and again,
Oh
specifically
yeah,
with younger actors and actresses.
yeah. I mean that's I would say uh, we hear a lot about that in the film industry because it's such in the public eye. But I would say that's
Right.
anywhere. People just take advantage of people and their hopes and their dreams uh, in any industry. That's not exclusive to Hollywood. Hollywood is just more in the public light.
Sure.
It's Wall Street, it's marketing companies, um, any corporation. You're going to see a lot of that. Less so today because it's just become more publicized.
Right. And also
That's
the
I'd say a
digital
lot of
nature of
that's
it
yeah.
probably helps too.
Mhm. Yeah, people are
Okay.
working
So
from home now. So, like, things have really changed, particularly in the last couple of years. I was reading something, one of the casting directors that I know in New Orleans, he was quoted in an article that released, I think, today or yesterday. And he basically said that he hasn't had to actually audition anybody in person in 2 years,
right.
which is a massive change.
Is it a change for the better or for the worse? Because again, not being involved in Hollywood at all, uh, I look at like how people have to apply for regular jobs now,
Hmm.
and even when I was just before I started working for myself, it was getting to this point, and that was several years ago. But everything was like it was go onto our website and fill out a form and then
Yeah.
attach your resume, and
Yeah.
like nobody cares, like nobody knows you, you don't make a personal connection, so you're literally just in a stack,
Yeah,
And
and
is
your
it the same?
resume is getting read by algorithms and robots
Right.
essentially too, looking for keyword search. Hot tip for anybody who's doing that: when you're doing these online resumes, fill out your resume, and then whatever any single keyword search that you think they might be looking for, make it invisible text on your resume, so that way when you upload it and their computers scan your resume just looking for keywords to even make your resume pass along to a human being. If you
Sure.
have basically every, 1,000, 2,000 keywords just embedded into your resume, it's gonna flag all of those.
That's an interesting tip. I never even thought of that. No wonder I never got found.
Yeah, it doesn't help in my case, but hey, if somebody else can use it.
Okay, so let's transition a little bit, and I'd like to talk about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard because that's y- clearly you have seen at least you saw a clip of my stream, but I assume you saw a little bit more than that.
Yeah, I was
Um,
watching a bit more today with the doctor. That was brilliant.
yeah, Dr. Curry's great. She's incisive and devastating. Okay, so what's the scoop? Like what's the buzz about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard? Like so one, how much of it have you followed? Two, what do you think about the case? What's your opinion? And three, have you like in the industry, I guess, that you're in, um I know people have to be talking about this and probably quite a lot. So what's going on? Give us the dirt, man.
For me, honestly, it's unexciting, but I look at it a lot of it as it's their personal lives, and I'm generally not of interest to pry. Uh, but it, I it we were we had your stream on. We were just in Discord the other day, and one of my buddies was streaming in Discord while watching your stream. Um, and so that was the first time that I had really started watching it. And it was the perfect day to start watching because it was the cross examinations that were just absolutely murder. And
Which Which cross examinations were you specifically watching? Do you remember?
oh, that stupid doctor.
Oh, the guy
The
with the weird hair, like sticking
Yeah,
up? Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
the
So
psychologist or whatever, and he was just getting completely butchered on the stand.
yeah, that guy he got massacred.
Yeah, that
That
was
was
that's
great.
some of the best television I've ever seen. Like,
Yeah.
in terms of entertainment, oh my god. The cross examination is what I've been living for these past couple days, and I like it's something that's affecting people's personal lives, and it's not something that you know I don't know how much the world should actually be seeing of that, but I still think it's interesting, particularly for anybody who has an interest in law, which obviously is uh, your entire fan base and community that you have.
Well, some
I'm
of them
sure
have an
it's
interest in law, some of them have an interest in other hilarious things.
true.
So well, 'cause so a bit about me, I started off just exclusively covering, like, legal issues, but,
Mhm.
that it's very niche and it gets really hard. So the first lawsuit I ever covered was a very meme lawsuit between two podcasters who had a bad sort of split. Both of them there in LA actually, and so one sues the other, and it's absolute idiocy. It was great. It was so funny, and so I read this thing. It's hilarious. You get to make fun of it, and a bunch of people liked that. But and it's hard to find those though. Most lawsuits are written by competent people on both sides, and it's very boring and dry. And so unless the subject is really interesting, you don't get much out there. But this case, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, here you have two characters. Johnny Depp specifically being this sort of legendary figure, right? And
Mhm.
he's got his own sort of tortured genius aura, which is so weird that he actually has that and isn't just normal. But he's got this like tortured genius persona, and he's kind of mysterious but engaging at the same time. And then you have Amber Heard, who is either a victim of something absolutely horrifying or she's a horrific monster. Like those are kind of the two options for her at this point. She's one of those. And so you have all of this drama just baked into the two main people. And then when you tack on that it's in Hollywood, and at the beginning of the case, you've got rumors that Elon Musk and James Franco are going to testify and stuff like that. And we didn't actually get much celebrity testimony except from Kate Moss today. But you did get these really interesting characters, because interesting people tend to hang around quirky people, right? Like
Yeah.
that's how it goes. So, but a lot of what I cover is actually not legal based, because it's hard to find interesting law stuff all of the time. But I do a daily show, so it's usually just me drinking and making fun of people. But but that's how that goes. But yeah, okay. So you start watching this thing in Discord with some friends. You're kind of getting into the cross-examination. I'm with you. Cross-examination, that's spice, right? Like that's the fight. And that's where all of the drama happens. But what are you hearing like outside of your Discord friend group? Or is there, with things being so separated out now, is there a buzz in like your industry circles or your friend groups? Like, what's the scoop there?
I'd say where I see it mostly is like just people talking about it on Facebook or Instagram. It's obviously
Sure.
it's huge in the industry. Most people aren't talking about it. Where it's looked at and has an impact is essentially how actors are treated with ongoing litigation.
Yeah.
Because generally speaking, when there's some sort of negative press, people just don't touch them with a flagpole. Like
Right.
I'm shocked that Dior kept Johnny Depp on for the Sauvage ads, which like that
It was a good move
for
for
them
them.
as far as what we've seen. Yeah,
Yeah.
the wind blew in their direction. If it didn't, it would have been bad, because things change on a switch. It's pretty wild how quickly the industry changes. You can be at the top of your career one day, and then the next everything comes tumbling down, and it could be from things that are out of your control. uh People think that this industry is I don't know, a lot of people get this false sense that it's like just this liberal elite Hollywood thing, and the reality is Hollywood does not care about what's right or wrong, or when it comes to what happens at the studio level. um a lot of what you see is it's for show.
Right.
It is purely uh statistics. When decisions are made, it is actuarial. Movies are greenlit based on what they perceive the marketplace is, and they allocate budgets based on an expected return. They're looking at what's their ROI, and that's all the studio at the studio level.
Right.
That's all that is cared about.
But that's what's interesting is, and so my audience has a large contingent of people who look at Hollywood and other industries, comic books, everywhere, and they see sort of this trend to the political left, at least on some of these major social issues, right?
Yeah.
They see alliance, or at least lip service to groups like Black Lives Matter, or to LGBTQ plus sort of movements and
Mhm.
organizations, and they're confused because it seems like they are that their alliance with these sort of things, rather than just being silent to them, is a negative impact, right? Like, in that it is actually hurting their bottom line, because there are people who end up boycotting these things they don't agree with. But are you saying that like Hollywood looks at that and says, no, this is the way things are going, and so this is the way we do it? Or are they just trying to do like a political, like pay everybody type thing, pay everybody lip service, and it only appears this way? What's your opinion on?
I mean, it's hard to speak because everything you do is very public.
Right.
And but the industry, it's a lot like companies like Coca-Cola and name it, Wells Fargo, Chase, the every bank in existence. Um, they're paying everybody,
Right.
and the studios are no different. The studios are just corporations. They have investors. Now, the financial structure of movie studios is very different. Um, but
Yeah, because movie
it's
studios are funded well, like, movie productions are
mhm,
funded like, a studio greenlights it, but then the studio almost acts as like an aggregator of funds from a group of producers, and those producers can be, either smaller studios, um, or they can be individuals who have a, a monetary interest in making this thing, or they could be individuals who have a personal interest in making the thing, right?
yeah,
And so they kind of aggregate these funds, and then I get the impression that like the overall production studio, like if it's Columbia or Paramount, is Columbia even around? Paramount or whatever,
yeah.
they'll
Columbia's
have
gonna be
these.
Sony.
Right, they'll have these other, these sort of sub funders come in. They take, their trim off the top for having the big giant name attached to the production and distribution of the film, but the real money's coming from these individuals who bring it in.
Mhm.
Is that accurate?
So you studios have money. You have co-productions where you have financiers that come in. Like legendary studios might bring into you might bring 100 million into a project that's
Right,
being produced by Universal. Jurassic World is a good example of something where you have Universal is the big company behind Jurassic, and then Legendary Studios is a big part of that. And while Legendary does, they have their VFX divisions and things like that. Jurassic World is the VFX didn't even have a whole lot of Legendary's assistance on because that's done by ILM, the division of Lucasfilm and Disney. So it's the structure is very strange in movies. Sometimes you have passion projects or producers who will throw down their own money, like
sure,
Barry Bruckheimer, who's a big producer known for putting financial backing on projects he believes in, like Top Gun Maverick, and his involvement in several TV shows. And pretty much whatever he touches is gold because he attaches bankable stars. Um, whether the content is good or bad, he doesn't care. Um, apparently, Top Gun is a decent movie. I haven't seen it yet, but
the new one or the original one?
the new one, I've heard
Oh,
I've heard good things about it within the industry about that. The technology and the film capabilities that went into something like that is just bonkers.
yeah, well, they
To
put the actors in F-14s that like and
yeah,
flew them around to get them to act like for they filmed the scenes in the planes in the cockpits with a pilot in the front and the actor in the back and
just
actually
crazy. That's
right.
awesome.
Yeah,
That level of
exactly.
like practical effects is brilliant, and we don't see it enough. Everything these days is CGI, and it looks like CGI. And 10 years from now, it's going to look like even more like CGI. So I'm someone who likes to see things that are done practically. Working on
Right.
Jurassic World, I would have liked to have worked with more animatronics, but at the very least, they were bringing in new ways of having us as actors interact with the scenes. So they had hired dancers to play the raptors,
Sure.
and so that affected the post production where you had the motion capture of what the dancers were doing was turned into the raptors. And for us as actors, that is super helpful because while we don't have the animatronics, we're at least interacting with something on camera. We're not just staring at a blue screen, which to me is I don't know. There's little craft there. It's hard to be an actor when you don't have that environment.
Yeah, I watched Starship Troopers 2 and 3. It's- Their reactions to the
Yeah.
blue screens are not good. They're not good at all. Um Okay, so where I guess where is the wind blowing in Hollywood? Like what are we gonna see? Uh I guess with what am I? I'm trying to figure out what I'm trying to get at here. And then once we get through this question, I'm gonna read some of the chats. My audience has the ability to submit questions, and so I'd like to get to some of those
Yeah, sure.
after we do this. But where is Hollywood going in terms of Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, and this sort of greater idea of like if we think about it, if Johnny Depp wins, right,
Mhm.
then Hollywood basically killed this guy's career
Yeah.
over something that ended up being false. Do
They're
you
gonna
think
they'll pretend that they didn't do that.
so? He'll come back, you think?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, what you're going to see is you're going to see actors that are friends of him putting him back in projects, and the people that have enough sway. Obviously, what's gonna get him back in movies is the fact that he has massive positive publicity.
Yeah,
And more than anything else, that's what's going to do it. Anything he touches will get greenlit, if things continue to go the direction that it's going for him right now. And that's because this Hollywood's a machine. It sees a big audience that wants to see Johnny Depp in things. So they're going to put Johnny Depp in something because it's going to bring people in the box office. They know that they
sure.
have a calculable success on their hands.
Yeah, I think if he wins, um, I think if he wins, the first movie he makes is going to be just an absolute monster.
Yeah.
Whatever he does
Whatever it
next will
is,
be
it'll be
huge.
$1 billion film.
Yeah. But at the same time, do you think there's a path to redemption for him if he doesn't outright win?
I think right now the studios will be careful with it, and somebody, probably friends of his, will give him something regardless
Like Robert
because
Downey Jr.?
he has that momentum carrying him. And the most important things is the numbers. Is something bankable?
Right.
Is it a risk to a studio, and how much is that risk? Because Netflix will take on risky projects all the time.
Yeah, they take on some real horse shit sometimes.
Yeah, you said it, not me, but
Right. No, yeah, that's all my words, Netflix. If you're watching, hey, what's up, guys? Good luck with your
yeah,
weird
yeah.
case
I
in
mean,
Texas.
they'll pick up projects, drop it, fire people left and right. They just fired, I think, 150 people. They've almost entirely dumped their animation division, because
Right.
it's just doesn't it costs too much to make and isn't as profitable.
Right. And well, to be fair, a lot of Netflix like original animation is trash. Like
Mm.
I'm sorry, Netflix. They're
Yeah.
picking bad projects. And I don't think Western animation competes with anime in any measurable sense. Like anime is just it's becoming such a dominant force that is entering the West so well and it's been a long time, right? Anime started entering the West
Mhm.
sometime in like 1987. Um,
Castlevania, although I think they hit that one pretty spot on.
right. Yeah. Castlevania is very popular. I know a guy who does sound production for them. And like, yeah, that show's been really successful, but like I watched that that Blood of Zeus show and that thing I was like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah,
Why are you even making this?
I watched a bit of the Godzilla, which they are taking things kind of in an anime direction with some of their projects, and I haven't been super fond of it. Some of their like Knights of Sidonia, I thought was okay. Um,
I've heard
when
Arcane's really good, but I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen that one either. When they do things towards the anime direction, I think the quality tends to be a little bit better, but you're getting better artists for it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's the trick. Like now, it seems like American animation is getting into this weird Cal Arts shit, and I hate it. I hate it with a passion, like the Steven Universe style, if you know what I'm
Hmm.
talking about. Like
Yeah.
I hate anything and everything that like just me. I don't even care if the show's a good quality. I look at it and am revulsed and repulsed, and I don't have time anymore for anything.
Mhm.
So for me, like if I'm going to spend a premium, which is my time on anything at all, it's got to be great. And that animation style doesn't sell me. And I used to watch shows like Dexter's Lab and Powerpuff Girls on Cartoon Network. I thought those were hilarious, but like that has morphed into this sort of genre of animation that makes me just immediately not want to watch it. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
and a lot of it is just quality of talent going into it. The reality is there are not a lot of good writers in Hollywood, and that's my personal opinion. So take that with a grain of salt. You know, obviously, people, it's making money, so clearly somebody is consuming it and liking it. Whether that's people who have a bit more refined taste or not, I couldn't tell you. But
Right.
I, the scripts that come across my desk are absolute trash most of the time. I mean, I'll look at something and they'll be like, "Yeah, you know, whatever studio just put $30 million into this. It looks like a project from like a student film." And so
Yeah.
the quality of writing is awful. And then I'll see what the quality of writing coming from somebody who's actually like coming out of, you know, take your pick of film schools, and one of their scripts will cross my desk and it's somehow even worse. So, dude, the
I
quality
feel
of
like
writing in Hollywood is bad. So
oh,
if
you
anybody is a halfway decent writer, by all means, that's your best chance of success, because the quality of scripts out there right now is, in my personal opinion, I do not think very good. The dialogue is terrible. Stories are
yeah.
bad. They're incohesive. Um,
Well,
you know,
people who write dialogue, they don't it's like they don't read it out loud,
yeah.
which when I write, and I used to write a lot. I don't anymore because now I'm just doing YouTube and just writing live. But I used to write a lot, and when I did, whenever I wrote, especially dialogue, I would literally just read it back out loud all the time and then make tweaks and tweaks because it's like this doesn't sound right. Sounds okay in your head, but when you read it out, like this sounds stupid. And nailing dialogue is something that you have to do. I think writers today might have some sort of idea that they'll crutch on the ability of an actor to almost like make the lines their own, but it's like they can't make every line their own. That's too
Yeah.
much work, and they don't have time for that. But the other problem I'm having with writing lately from Hollywood, or what I'm seeing is like everything has to be tortured and dark. Like everything has to be like you can't have a hero. They've got to be an anti-hero. They've got to have a flaw. They've got to have something. And I'm a kid of the 80s, man. I liked when the biggest flaw you had was that John McClane had a fight with his wife Holly, right? Like they've been separated for 6 months because she wanted to do her job out in LA, and he's like, "No, I'm a New York cop. I got to stay." And like so they had this conflict, and that's like the bad part of John McClane. And now if you tried to write Die Hard, you'd have to have like an hour on how John McClane like killed a bunch of black people, or that he he did all this stuff, or he something horrible would have to be in his past to make him believable as a hero. And it's like, well, not everybody has a horrible past. And I get so sick of like the baggage that they have to inject into every heroic character. And I want to go back to that magical time of the 80s and 90s where you could just sit down and enjoy something.
Mm.
Um,
Or movies were designed to be fun.
right.
And there's a lot of people have, they get wrapped up in, I don't know, trying to win Oscars
Yes.
with
Stop
big
it.
budget action films. And not everything needs to have that story. Sometimes it's fun to just write things that are like fun characters. For
I
me,
blame
films that I
Terminator
always,
2
yeah.
for winning so many damn Oscars, but being a
Yeah,
big budget action film.
yeah, Titanic. But Titanic's a good movie. Um,
Well, kind of. When that guy hits the propeller, that's pretty good.
yeah, what I miss are the old, like the old war movies. They're not the same. They're not as choreographed. You don't, everything's CGI. The most recent good example was, what is it? 1917, 1916. Um,
Yeah,
the World
I
War
haven't
One.
watched it. I heard about it.
film. The way that that was shot was ambitious, and we've lost, I think, a sense of ambition
Is
doing
that
these
the one
big scenes with lots of
where
people.
is that the one where it's like it's shot like it's it's not
Yeah,
actually one
it's not
continuous
one
shot,
take, but it's
but it
shot
looks
to
that way?
look continuous, and they did a really great job. I mean, when you know what you're looking for, you can see where the cuts are made when somebody crosses camera.
Yeah,
Um, but it the goal, the intent of it was pulled off very well. And
sure.
that's risky. That's risky for a studio to say, well, let's dump 100 whatever $1 million into something that's an unproven concept. And a lot of times, what Hollywood needs to do, I think, is we have studios that, again, it's actuarial filmmaking, where you have a lot of notes dictating every little thing about a film.
Right.
You change the dialogue and it has to be run up the studio chain half the time. And when it comes to filmmakers, just have good artists and people that you believe in, and let them make the movie that they want to tell, for better or worse. And those it's very hard to get the Tarantinos of today
Yeah.
in the studio system,
Well, how could
because
you?
if
I mean,
yeah.
with Tarantino's dialogue and his willingness to go into very uncomfortable subjects and uncomfortable ideas, right?
Mhm.
Like it's I feel like studios don't one I don't think you can make a Pulp Fiction today.
No.
For Tarantino's character alone in that movie, I don't know how you could film it. He drops the N-word like 600 times.
Yeah. I worked as what's called Tarantino's Weasel Team on Inglorious Bastards,
Okay.
and that was phenomenal to see. Not Inglorious, sorry, Django
Hey,
Unchained.
Django. Okay, what does
Yeah.
that mean? What does the Weasel Team do for Django Unchained?
So that is where his stand-ins, but he hires actors to be his stand-ins. This was a while ago, and I was still very new to the industry, but the you have your camera rehearsals where you block
Sure.
out the shots with your director of photography, and figure out how you want to run the scene. But the way that Tarantino does it is his rehearsal team is legitimate, like trained actors, uh, running through every single shot. You'll go through
Right.
dialogue, the pacing that the actors are kind of expected to take. So that way, everything, every little minute detail is figured out ahead of time. So when the actors come in, you're not doing a million takes. When you get that one take, the lighting is perfect, everything is perfect.
Sure.
Tarantino has a very clear vision of what he wants. And
And it's
knowing
usually
that
feet.
only 20 minutes per film. Um, he's got a very clear vision of what he wants, and the studios, he knows that studios will just change things because they somehow statistics have told them this is going to make more money, or this is the way that they need to do something and not the way that the creator of the project intended. So when he sends his film to the studio, he only sends one take. So everything is filmed one camera angle at a time, and that camera angle is the only take, the only angle that they get of that shot. So the studio can't do anything with the footage. Um, they're forced to use as much of what he wants as possible, which I think is a good way around kind of the Hollywood machine. Uh, but not everybody's Tarantino and get away with that.
Right. You have to have some level of pull for to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay, let's go to some of these chats from the audience because I'm curious what they're gonna do and how embarrassing this is gonna be. Um, don't mind them, by the way. They're they're special. Ryu D says on your Raptor Futa, would you like balls or no balls? Hashtag Cyberfrog.
Balls, definitely. Let's go.
All right. Okay. Straight into it. That's the right answer. Always balls. Ovid says, hey, Nick, new theory. Elon Musk is paying Depp's bills, Amber's bills, and also paying Amber's team to throw the case. I'm an average viewer and very logical and not at all trying to make life more exciting than it really is. Dude, I get so many questions about like various conspiracy theories. Like, do you think Elon Musk paid off the judge? Is who's paying Amber's bills? It's great. So that was good. Ola Kyle says, question for Colby: balls or no balls? You already said balls. You're locked
Yeah.
in. You don't get to change now.
I'm not changing that.
Timothy Reaper says, I would like you to make a toast to Tech Priest Norberticus, who scored a major victory against the Slaneshi herd and her minions. The Omnissiah wills it. Do you have any like super nerdy hobbies?
You mean besides
other than sword fighting?
Like pretending to be a Jedi so hard that I became one?
Well,
no, not at all.
Yeah,
no, I have music. I mean, DJing is a lot of fun. I
Sure.
love playing club shows.
Well, like for me, it's Warhammer 40K, right?
Mm.
Like I love Warhammer. But
video games, do you play video games at all?
when I have time.
Okay.
I was playing Elden Ring last.
Of course, naturally.
Everybody
I have not touched that game, mostly because it's so popular that like I can't. I'm sure I'll get around to it eventually, but I do not have the time right now.
I'm not like I played Dark Souls 1 like last year. So like we're talking, I am way behind the curve on all of that stuff. I will legitimately say Elden Ring is worth it. It's actually a well done, fun game. And I've thoroughly enjoyed it. But the trick is it lets you kind of play how you want to play it. And my way is stupid and the chat hates me for it. But I use 2 giant hammers and I don't put any points into health.
Okay.
So it's like pulling your hair out constantly. But no, so the Tech Priest Norberticus, that they're talking about did you watch the testimony from the today from the guy who did the photo editing? He's a photo editing expert.
No, I read a couple comments about it. They were talking about the metadata and Chroma stuff.
Well, that guy he's pretty devastating, but yeah, his name was Norbert. because
of course it was.
If you're gonna have the nerdiest expert on the planet, his name better be Norbert.
That's gonna be in a movie at some point.
Yeah, no kidding. But anyway, a toast to Norbert, who scored a major victory against the Slaneshi herd and her minions. The Omnissiah does will it indeed. May Norbert have many more years of looking at EXIF data to his heart's content.
Did you find her team on like Craigslist or something? Because they are wildly incompetent.
That Elaine lady, her lady lawyer, is batshit insane. I mean, she is horrifying. And then these experts. I mean, my theory on it is simple. My limited experience. I'm an attorney, but I practiced in a small town for a couple years, and then I got on YouTube and found out it's way more fun. So I'm here, right? But when you're talking to experts, you have some experts who are going to be like, yeah, this opinion probably isn't going to go in favor of your client, right? And then you have other experts who are like, yeah, give me this much money. And I think that's who they ended up with, frankly. Don Hughes.
For such a large case, though, like the money's not worth it because there's so many eyes on this that if you slip up on one little thing, like that's the end of your career.
Yeah. Yep. Well, the expert psychologist for Amber Heard, Don Hughes, not the guy with the hair sticking up and that weird guy, but her first expert, because he's psychiatrist. Her expert psychologist, Don Hughes, is basically a hatchet man, right? Like her job is to, and I'm not stereotyping here. Her job is to find men to be guilty of domestic violence for court cases. Like that's part of her practice. She can't name a case in which she found a male victim of domestic violence unless the perpetrator was also a male. which is silly. Like with her level of experience, she should have come across some case where a female abused a man. Like that just should have happened logically. And she can't name one, which is so. But she's respected in the industry, she's well credentialed, she has her office is on Madison Avenue in New York City, which costs an absolute fortune, I'm sure. And the reason is because she does this, and she does it really well normally, but she's the kind of person you would hire for this. She is the hatchet man. Go in and
The
go in and chop wood.
cross-examination was very specific, and what stood out to me in these cross-examinations
Mhm.
is you have people who they're in an industry, but they're not the paramount of what they do, and that's evident. Like there's the people that you can buy
Yeah.
to say what you want, and then there's the people that are experts through and through of their craft, and that really shows. Like when you have two people, one does something for a living and
Mhm.
one does something very well, it shows through. Like you know when you're listening to someone who is a professional, the fluidity of the way that they speak, without having to look for, like, they don't have to pause and think about something. They can just continue, and they can go into whatever depth of detail they need to, very specifically. And when asked a question that takes them in a different direction, they already know everything, uh, to be able to answer that question. And that's what we saw with the doctor, I thought today.
Yeah,
She
Dr. Curry.
knew, yeah, she absolutely knew her job, and she did her research thoroughly. She was not the expert that they brought in the other day, the entertainment expert who
Oh, yeah, Ken
I
Kennedy? Not Kennedy. You're talking about the lady,
yeah,
right?
I
Oh,
don't
okay.
know her name, but
She was awful.
she I don't know what she does. The only hint
She does
that
this.
she gave that I could tell that she understood that she's at least somewhat involved in the industry is when they asked her about loan out companies. They asked her what
Yeah,
is a loan out, which is companies that actors use to supply services to a film,
right.
and she knew she could speak to that,
Mhm.
quickly and thoroughly. But she was there specifically to discuss and, compare careers, which were atrocious, and she didn't have a thorough understanding of these careers. She just kept going on about Q scores and IMDb numbers, which IMDb numbers, like, don't mean
Well,
anything. They're a
right now,
corporate
Amber Heard's
number
number
that,
1.
yeah, yeah. It's like, how many views do you have? Okay, that doesn't that's not anything good or bad. Now Q scores is a little bit different, um, but uh, she would discuss scores but gave no specifics. She was just referencing it. My guess is they actually, for the comparable actors, like, oh god, who were some of the people that they were
Oh,
comparing?
they had Chris Pine,
Yeah, Chris Pine. Like,
Zendaya.
if you were to take Zendaya's Q score and try and compare it to Amber Heard, you wouldn't be able to. Like, the statistics, Zendaya is going to be off the charts. Yeah,
Right.
Jason Momoa. No, these are people with very long careers, and if you're trying to compare them, uh, they're better people that you could come up with as a professional. I just think it was, in terms of being as a hired expert, would what they were trying to do is obviously fish for a number. Is
Yeah.
they were, well, these actors make this much, and so we can somehow compare her to them to quantify, uh, some return on a lawsuit, as if that's what she should be worth or should have made. And then on cross examination, they were bringing out what she was paid, what Amber Heard was paid on particular projects where she was making like 20 something hundred a week, on a movie in 2018, which is okay. Sometimes actors will accept a job
You
if it's
shoot.
a really good project. Didn't sound like it was that good of a project.
No,
You
it was a
know,
SAG minimum job, and
yeah. It's
she
not The Wolf of Wall Street and Jonah Hill accepting, the minimum of 60,000 to do the film for Martin Scorsese. It's not that.
right. It was a weird nothing project. No, yeah, that was yeah, she was terrible. Her name was Catherine what the hell? They said it in the chat. The chat knows everything. Um I can't remember. Catherine Arnold was her name.
Mhm.
Yeah, and to answer your question about what she actually does is this. I mean, she's literally a professional expert witness,
Oh,
and
okay.
she has made her business knowing the industry for the purposes of court. Now she's done some production work and stuff like that as well, because I think everybody in Hollywood that's been there long enough and stuck around has done some production work with someone. But like the projects that she worked on that's on her website are things no one's ever heard of.
Mhm.
They're with people that people have heard of, but the projects that she ends up on are like the things after those people are popular. So it was very depressing. Um, Hold on one second. Okay, here we go. House Atreides says, "Hi, Ricada. Do you have an after action plan for all the withdrawal cases once the trial ends? Been enjoying your coverage of this trial. Well, I'll be trying to keep the day streams going for a little bit, and we'll be watching the next trial. I'm going to try to watch because I think it's coming up really soon. Is Nicholas Cruz, the Parkland shooter down in Florida?" Um, the judge there is very interesting. And if you want to figure out why, just Google Parkland shooter judge. But I believe he's pleaded guilty. So I think the issue is whether or not he gets the death penalty in that case. So that's what we're going to be watching next, assuming it fits into the schedule. And then we'll see what comes after that. Brian Schaefer, what video software do you use for multiple guests and compiling them on the screen? I use StreamYard, which I half hate. It's a little bit better than it was the other day, but I still kind of hate it and might be transitioning. I just don't have time during the trial to like restream or something like that. Colonel Zanders, save some money using your code on CBDX. Here's a question. Who would be the best judge for the Chris Chan trial? Schrader, Ascarati, or Borowski? Borowski, because he would hate every second of it. That would be the best. Are you familiar with Chris Chan in the Dimensional Merge?
Unfortunately, yeah.
You know about Chris Chan?
Yeah, I mean, if you spend any sizable amount of time on the internet, it's not something that I spend any amount of time researching, but
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna
Mm-hmm.
come across my feed on YouTube with all the Sonitude memes and everything.
Okay. So let's probe your level of internet degeneracy then.
Great.
Are you familiar with a guy named Ethan Ralph?
No, no, I just recall your chat going off about it earlier today.
Oh,
Like I had like joined for a second and your entire chat was going off about Ethan Ralph.
okay. Well, we won't go into it then. I don't want to bring you into that world if you're not there. It's a world of sadness and patheticness. If you had seen it, I would ask you to
Sounds like the
comment on
internet.
I would ask you to comment on a certain fight video that occurred today, but we'll wait on that.
No.
Romo Drummer, I should have overslept if I knew you were going to be this late, you unloyal shaster. Well, yeah, you know me, I'm late. Jesus Davila, thumbs up, thank you. Mommy Flash's massive milkers. Flash went for SIGs 2 days ago. Have you seen him? Yes, I have. Laughing Dog, John Goldman's sex doll must have arrived. Are you familiar with Jack Murphy?
Not
Here, I'll give you a hint. If you look at my screen, this beard that's on the Lawn Crime logo, that's Jack Murphy. Are you familiar with that
nope.
beard? Okay. God, you're so lucky. I envy you at times. Litho Mike says, "Hey Nick, we need to get good logic and legal mindset to 100K by the time the jury returns their verdict." Okay. Romo Drummer says, "Be careful what you say, kid. Hollywood is brutal and listens to everything. They have eyes everywhere you don't realize. You might get Isaac Cappied. Seriously, though. Who the hell's Isaac Cappy?
They do have eyes everywhere. That's not untrue.
Right. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. Although what does surprise me is they've been watching me for this long and they have not offered me a job, which makes me really offended, Hollywood. And I find you to be very, very breaded. Hunter Collier. That takes too much time. I wrote 2 screenplays in college. I know how much time that takes, and I didn't even revise them. So
it's all right. They don't either.
Hunter Collier says Ape Master Race. Axe Lion says Saber Master Race. Get wrecked, Ape nerds. There you go. But you said foil was your thing, right?
Yeah. Which I'll be at July. I'll be off in Minneapolis at the national championship.
Really?
Yeah.
That's like 2 hours east of me.
Dope.
Yeah.
Come watch some fencing.
When in July?
July 7th through the 9th or something.
Let me see what my calendar looks like. Do you drink?
No, not particularly, no.
Oh, I was going to say I'd come buy you a drink or something.
During the national championships. Yeah, that sounds like a great time.
Well, after. But it turns out I'm going to be with my kids that weekend, my wife and kids that weekend at a camp. So looks like no. So that's kind of lame. I was gonna genuinely come out and cheer you on or whatever. The sweep says once again, Daddy White and effing Efren miss out on jumping Ethan Ralph. No one likes sloppy seconds and definitely not thirds. Also, how much do you weigh, Nick? Ever thought of doing YouTube boxing? Right now, I'm somewhere between 195 and 205. Have I ever thought of doing YouTube boxing? I'm 40 is the answer to that. No, not anymore.
I think my dad was 5 years older when he started to pick up MMA, so you're fine.
Oh God. I used to, I would have at 25, I would have been happy to do MMA and boxing. I would have thought it would be fun. 40, man. I wake up with tomorrow's headache. Matrix says, I raised a high functioning autistic son. My ex and I went to watch the first Jurassic Park while I was pregnant. My son ended up being a savant on dinosaurs. We are indebted to the movie for inspiring the most amazing person. Hey, that's cool. Ethan Flash says, hey, Colby, you may be movie famous, but have you ever been to Portugal?
My parents live in Portugal, in the Azores. And this is a reference to that fight thing.
Well, I'm noticing you dodged the question because, like, I'm a lawyer and you didn't answer. If you've been to Portugal,
I've
you just said they've. Okay, okay.
Yeah. No, my parents live in the Azores, so I go to the Azores all the time.
Yeah, but my parents live in doesn't mean that you had been there. So I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, I have been to Portugal.
So have you ever vacationed there twice and been beaten up both times?
No, I haven't.
Have you been beaten up one time in Portugal?
No.
Is it hard to avoid getting beaten up while you're in Portugal?
I have yet to see anybody get beaten up in Portugal. You must not be very based if you are.
So, like, if you were to happen to go to Portugal twice and say within 2 days of getting there, each time you've been beaten up, that's like a statistical anomaly. That's probably pretty bad.
You should probably stay out of Portugal.
Have you ever had your man purse stolen and sold on eBay?
Twice.
Do you carry a man purse, a man bag?
No, only on Thursdays and Fridays.
Well, you never know. Some people, like, I don't know, like, I feel like if you were a script writer in Hollywood, you would have to, right? Because you have to have your script with you for whenever you run into a producer at a coffee shop.
God, no, I don't even give them my script.
Of course, because that never
my choice
works.
bag is Chanel, so I don't know.
Right. Matrix
Birkin will do.
What about Burberry?
God, no. What do you think I am? This isn't the 80s.
Matrix says, Nick, please drink a toast for my son. He's taking a second job overnight while working for a major law firm. This economy is killing all of us. I drive 3 counties to take care of my patients. To Matrix, to your son, working extremely hard in a rough environment and economy. May he find massive success in his main job and hopefully free up time in his future. Cheers to him. Not one of us says Pippa says she could possibly do a collab with Branka. Yes, Branka, if no politics are involved. Could you pass this on to him? Maybe this could also be a path to you eventually being allowed to collab with her. It's not on me. It's on her production. It's her production company, guys. I'd interview Pippa in a heartbeat. They don't like me. Liberty says, what does Colby's furry suit look like? Do you have a furry suit?
I don't have one. I go to a lot of anime conventions and I see furries all the time, and I have friends that have furry outfits. I do not have one, and I do not foresee ever having one.
Wait, so are you into anime then?
Yeah.
What's your favorite?
I mean, I like Miyazaki stuff. It's whatever I'm watching at the moment. Demon Slayer is pretty dope. I still have not gotten to season 2 of Demon Slayer.
I haven't watched it. Did you watch the greatest anime of all time? Redo of the Healer?
I have not seen Redo.
Are you familiar with Redo?
Yeah, I am.
You got to watch it.
Yeah, right now we're watching Spy Family. That one's been all right. I was expecting more espionage, and it's basically like a comedy. Somebody in chat said Clenad. That's a brilliant show.
Have you ever watched Gundam?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Gundam Wing is probably one of my favorite shows.
Have you ever cried during an episode of any Gundam?
Not Gundam, no.
Okay, that's what we needed. Cornelius Buttknuckles says, favors don't help you in every industry. I've been machining for over 10 years and I've never had to slob any knob for my yearly 20-cent raise. I've tried, but my raise was still only 20 cents. So it turns out I didn't have to. Alien Baby. I used to work at Warner Brothers in IT. My boss's title was director, IT director, and people would slide scripts to him in the bathroom thinking he's a movie director. That town is nuts with people trying to get famous. Alien Baby says there aren't enough subs that look like Uma Thurman.
True.
What do you mean?
I was supposed to be in a movie with her, and I'm so sad that didn't end up happening. I was supposed to play her son in a movie called cool. American Ultra.
Is that Jesse Eisenberg was in that?
Yeah, right? Kristen Stewart, Jesse Eisenberg, and originally Uma Thurman was supposed to be one of the stars on that, and it had a very different script, and I was supposed to play Uma Thurman's son, so I was cast in a very big role in that film, and Uma Thurman was just going through she was going through a divorce at the time, unfortunately, and backed out of the project. And then another actress was signed on for the same role. I was still signed on to play that actress's son. That actress got promptly fired on her first day on set for her reasons. And then the producer slashed the budget in half. They rewrote the script. They wrote me out of it. And yeah, it was unfortunate. But
what can you dish on the reasons or no?
Nope.
Oh, that's too bad.
Some people are just sometimes just difficult to work with.
Right. That'd be me. I'm a difficult person to work with, legitimately. Yeah. I don't deal well with authority, which is why I work for me, right? Like that's why I worked my whole life to somehow fall into a place where I was my own boss, so I could just be pissed at myself. Noir 777 says, for the movie of the trial, the crazy psychologist has to be played by Stephen Ogg. Let's see. Rakion RQL. Wait. Says over or under on at least 70 objections during Heard's team rebuttal for Beyond the Scope. Also, Parkland Judge is now Judge Mommy. Parkland Judge is she's something. Yeah, I think the Heard rebuttal is going to go well beyond. They're going to try and take it well beyond the scope of her case, and there will be a ton of objections. Timothy Reaper, question for Colby: would you be willing to act in a live action adaptation of Sonichu?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, let's go. Greenlight that project.
If so, what role?
I don't know. You think I really pay attention to that stuff?
I have no. The only
No.
character I'm aware of is Sonichu.
Yeah,
so.
honestly, I have no idea. I've not looked into the phenomenal fandom that is Sonichu.
Do you know about Chris Chan's legal issues?
Some of it, I remember distinctly seeing the photo of when he was when they were getting arrested.
Wait, so
and
did you
just
see
like
the
a
fat
cop
guy
in
in
the
the striped
background.
shirt? Did you see the fat guy in the striped shirt who was like taking the pictures?
That I don't think so.
He was on a live stream.
No, I do remember a cop like just trying to conceal the fact that he was dying of laughter in some of the photos. Like someone who was clearly read in on what was happening and who who Chris Chan is.
Let me see if I can. Oh, damn. I mean, there's a bunch of photos. I'm trying to find the guy who took them. That Ethan Ralph is the guy who was there to take the photos of Chris Chan being arrested. That's the guy, the Portuguese punched.
Oh,
He's the guy. So I was trying to find it. Okay, here we go. Andrew Patty, thank you for the donation. Mary Diaz, have you guys ever seen Steins Gate? If not, definitely worth the confusion and heartbreak.
I've not seen
I've
all the way
heard,
through. I've watched, I think, like 6 episodes, and then I can't say I dropped it. I just put it on the back burner.
so when you say you go to a lot of anime conventions, do you go to them like just around LA? Well, oh wait, you don't live in LA. Do you go to them
No,
all over the
mostly in
country?
Florida.
Florida?
Yeah.
Do you ever
So
go to Texas?
there are a lot that I want to go to in Texas.
You should go to Anime Matsuri.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about that one.
You should go there July 29th
Yeah,
this year.
the 20, I'm going to be busy then. The summer is when all the conventions really happen. What I
Yeah.
love, I've DJ'd at a lot of them, and they're DJing at anime conventions is way better than the Comic Cons. The Comic Cons for the most part are more corporate events. Where they're just giant merch rooms and then signing booths, and the anime conventions are just more of like a hangout and lobby cons. So they're more fun, and me and my friends will go to those all the time. This
Sure.
summer we'll be at AFO in Orlando, MetroCon in Tampa, and then we always go to Holiday Matsuri, which is also in Orlando. It's like a Christmas convention. So
Gotcha.
I fly down for those because they're fun.
To Nero Hito in the chat, you have spammed the same message 500,000 fucking times. I don't know anything about that case, the West Memphis 3. I don't care about that case. And if you never post again in the chat, I wouldn't mind. So stop spamming it. I'm never going to answer you on it. I told you this. If you spam it again, I'll have you banned, which I don't normally do. But you're so fucking retarded that I'm tired of seeing it over and over and over again. Like, so knock it the fuck off. Like, seriously, knock it the fuck off. Like, I answered you already. So stop spamming it over and over. It's really, really lame. Jesus Christ. Take your personal like political issue and go eat it while jerking off. I don't care. But I told you I'm not going to answer you because I don't know anything about it. So there you go. Have fun with that.
Sounds like there's some Morbius fans in the chat too. People are
Morbius?
Big
Wait,
Morbius fans.
That movie?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it a TV show or is it a movie?
I don't care, to be honest. I don't know what it is. People are just there after that more bussy. So
wait, yeah, that's the Jared Leto movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anything about this other than like that's a DC movie. Is it DC? No, it's Marvel. This is Marvel.
Yep.
I don't know anything about Morbius. All I know is that like after Avengers Endgame or whatever, I like stopped caring about any superhero movies, and I always hated the DC movies myself.
Mhm.
Like I'm not a big fan of them. So, what are they saying about Morbius in the chat?
Well, that it's Morbin time. You don't know Morbin time?
No, I don't know anything about this movie.
I
What's
honestly,
Morbin
I
time?
don't know. I don't know anything, but the memes have been going off. Apparently, there's a Morbius Discord that got completely overran. And apparently, that's the best place to be on Discord right now is the Morbius channel.
In my opinion, the best place to be on Discord is off of it. Because I hate it. I hate Discord so much. I have a Discord and it's constant. It is the biggest thorn in my side of all the
Okay.
things that I do. My Discord is the worst.
Well, join
Uh,
ours. Come play some Sea of Thieves.
See, I wish I had time to play anything. All my video gaming gets done on stream, but while there's a trial on, I don't have time because what I normally do is I'll do this show, and then after this show, I'll get on Twitch and I'll play video games or whatever, or do movie watch parties through the because you can do watch parties through Twitch, Amazon Prime linked to
Yeah.
Twitch. So I'll do that, but while there's a trial, I can't because I gotta sleep and get up for the morning. But yeah, my Discord is full of the worst people on earth. So and I mean that with all the love that can be mustered for them.
Mm-hmm. That's what Discord's good for.
Yeah. it's like either that or furries. That's
Usually
and
both.
I was gonna say and sometimes both. Casablanca says if you ever needed a gaming buddy, I'm on Steam. On Steam, I'm Sidonia, Brownsburg, Indiana. I have way too many games, so I'm always looking for more people to play with. Dude, have you played Vampire Survivors on Steam?
No, I haven't.
It's $3. You should get it.
Okay.
Because it's become this like phenomenon. Some guy like programmed it, and it's like he says he didn't, but he kind of did. Stole a bunch of assets from Castlevania and made them into this little like reverse bullet hell game. And it's so much fucking fun.
All right.
It's great.
Dope.
I'll
have to check that out. I've got so many games that I just don't even have time for. I want to play the new Arma game. That looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. Last Arma I played was Arma 2, I think. Might have been the original Arma. There's one map where you'd spawn in, you could just throw grenades over the hill and win. It was great. But I haven't played it in a long time. Suke Diaz says, did you notice Johnny looked so tired? Well, I think he was traveling a lot recently. He was like in Europe over the 1 week break. Kate of the Swiss says, you scurvy shaster lawyer, disloyal. That's true. Rachel the Riveter says, 1 year anniversary of my father's death today. Tomorrow, my son graduates from high school. Sunday, he becomes a missionary and leaves us for 2 years. I'm making 30 pizzas for it, all on my birthday. I'm sad. Toast, please. Yes, to Rachel the Riveter, a mom who's giving up her own birthday, to celebrate a very tough time for her, but a fulfilling, hopefully, time for her son. May his service build his character, and may his service fulfill the people that he interacts with. Cheers to you for raising someone dedicated to their life and to the lives of others. And cheers to you for giving a little bit of yourself to them.
I'm out of Gatorade, but cheers.
Yeah. Sorry. I do toasts on here. Rackion RQL says, kiss, marry, kill. Elaine, Amber Heard, and Rottenborn. So Elaine is the lady lawyer, and Rottenborn is Amber Heard's other lawyer. Let's start with the easy one. Who do you kiss?
Probably Amber Heard, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. Well, you don't want to marry her because that turns out to be
exactly.
Disaster, we've learned.
Yeah, so I feel like that's the...
And you can't kill her because the eyes of Hollywood are upon you.
Exactly.
So that makes sense.
I don't know who I'm supposed to kill.
I think you got to kill the male lawyer, right? Like, because
Mhm.
lawyers aren't people. So
No, true. Yeah, so
yeah, so,
that's acceptable. I can kill a lawyer. Yeah.
and you got to marry the old lady lawyer.
Hmm.
She can be your sugar mama. It'll be
Yeah, for like
perfect.
8 years, and then
Right. And then you get that sweet, sweet estate money.
exactly. And I sell all of the old smelly clothes.
Does everything smell like mothballs?
Yeah.
Abe Eckstein says, we deserve you telling him the full story of Jack Murphy. By the way, this is awesome. I played a small part in helping this interview happening by tweeting Colby the clip of you inviting him. Yes, you did. Thank you.
True. Yeah, thank you.
So would you like to learn the story of Jack Murphy?
Yeah, send it.
Okay. Well, I'll send it by narration. So Jack Murphy is, I got to pull up a picture, right? Like, we got to do this properly. Jack Murphy is this handsome devil right here. Hold on. Gonna get this guy. So this is Jack Murphy. Okay. And remember, I showed you the beard
That
earlier.
is a
right?
beard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's natural, by the way. He says that's how it just looks. He woke up one day and it looked like that. There's no dye in this beard. He promises. Just so we're clear on that. So this is Jack Murphy. He's an interesting fella. He was a superintendent of a Washington, D.C., I think a charter school system or something like that for a while. He was what people would consider on the left side of the political spectrum. And then he started writing on a manosphere blog site. Are you familiar with the manosphere or like the concept of it?
A
Yes.
manosphere?
Yeah.
Was that some like alpha trash?
Yeah. Like something like that. Right. Like men speaking to men's issues.
Yeah.
But like, so he starts writing a bunch of articles over there, and then he starts hanging out with a guy named Mike Cernovich. I don't know if you've ever heard of this guy, Mike
No.
Cernovich, but okay. So he's like become kind of a popular right-wing figure. And then these two end up outside somewhere and they get photographed with Bradley Manning, I think, who had become Chelsea Manning at the time. Are you familiar with Bradley, who transitioned to Chelsea Manning?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So they get photographed with Chelsea Manning at some event, and then that goes viral, that picture. And then people are trying to figure out, like, because Mike Cernovich is there. Apparently, they're trying to figure out like who this other guy is, because like, is he on the alt-right or something? And so he gets outed, and then apparently, like, people go after him for being like a right winger or something. This is his story. I don't know how much of this is true, but this is his story. And so then he writes a book called From Democrat to Deplorable, about how he turned from like being on the left into being a Trump supporter or something. And this is his thing. And then he becomes this right-wing sort of podcaster. And he goes on like Tim Pool's show a whole bunch, and does interviews and talks about manly issues, I guess. And then he founds this order called the Liminal Order, which you can join for the low price of $100 a month. And for $100 a month, you get a basically a private Slack channel, right? Like a
Okay.
Discord style thing. And you can network with men about fixing the world. I don't know, whatever. That's his grift.
Sounds like a bunch of simps.
And he does it for a while and everything's going just fine. And then he goes on this show called You Are Here, which is a new podcast that was on the Blaze Network. It's no longer there. It's now You Are Not Here. It's gone. But he goes on this show, and on the show, a guy by the name of Dr. Dickenballs sends a super chat. And it says, can Jack please explain the cuck article that he wrote? Because of course, right? And he loses his mind on the host, who's this lady named Sydney Watson. He just starts yelling at her. It's like, fuck you, heartfelt. I'm not talking about this. So then everybody on earth wants to know about this. And there's this article he wrote in 2015 that peak masculinity, alpha peak masculinity, was finding another man on Tinder for your girlfriend to go bang. Is that can you give an opinion on the level of masculine? Like, is that peak masculinity?
I mean, I don't know how you define what peak masculinity is. If that's what makes them feel like a top alpha, good for them.
so so the article, he talks about how right now his girlfriend, his long-term girlfriend, was
Mhm,
over at Matt's house from Tinder, just plowing away, right? And he says, and I'm home alone writing,
mhm.
and I couldn't be happier.
Did his wife's boyfriend, I don't know, buy him a Switch or something to keep him happy?
He types the words. He types the words. My masculinity is intact and my dick is hard. it was it was almost my favorite thing to have happened was this article. And then he starts going to war on everybody who talked about it, right? Like he starts going after because everybody tells their jokes and it's funny, and this thing's probably going to blow over in a couple days. But
Mhm,
then he starts going after everybody. Like he sent me some DMs, and because I had written 3 jokes on Twitter, just 3 simple jokes. He sends me DMs, tells me how like I don't look good to our mutuals. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? And he asked me to take down the jokes. Says I don't have integrity if I don't take them down. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. I don't care.
or he can
Um,
just get over himself.
right. And he goes to war with this guy named the Quartering. I'm not sure if you know who the Quartering is.
No.
He's a YouTuber and he has like 1 million subscribers. But they go to war. But then Jeremy, the Quartering, he's like, okay, I'll stop or whatever. So Jack Murphy's like has a ceasefire with him on their stupid Twitter fight. But behind the scenes, and this got leaked, Jack Murphy's like talking about destroying him and getting his liminal order together to do like opposition research on these people so he can go after them.
Yeah.
Then someone found his Chatterbait page. Because of course
Because of
they did.
course, yeah, because it's the internet, and
Right.
they're gonna find anything and everything about you.
And so he's now immortalized by having his feet up here, right? And having his girlfriend just going tongue first into those cheeks. Just straight in.
I mean, good for him there, but, like, you do you, man. I'm not sure that he wanted the entire internet to figure that out, but the internet's gonna find things because that's what they do.
Oh god, it was the right at the end of last year. It was like God's Christmas gift to the internet was Jack Murphy's decline. Because this is a guy. I mean, so it was $100 a month for his order or whatever. He had 700 active members.
Mhm,
So I mean, this guy just from that is pulling in $70,000 a month of money, right? Like he's making a fortune
mhm.
on this, and it collapsed. It completely tanked after that. He
Yeah,
lost
that is
like
that it's not alpha enough for his fan base, they moved on. Have you seen
yeah.
what's it, like, called AlphaCon or something like that?
The convention with like all the
Yes.
yes, I wanted to go to that so bad. Let me see if I can pull that up for the chat.
Oh my god. Like, you have to pull up the poster.
Yeah, AlphaCon 2022.
Yeah.
This thing looked so great. Uh Hold on. Here it is.
Like, if you have to learn how to be an alpha, you're by default not one, right?
I think so. I think that's the rule. But yeah, here it is. Here's the poster. I I wanted to go to this so bad. The crazy thing is, one day I spent my time looking up all these people, and like 3 of
The
them are
bull.
actually really interesting guys. Like 3 of them seem to be really accomplished people, and the
Mhm.
rest of them seem to be complete weirdos. But yeah, God, this thing costs like $500 to go to though. It was it was way expensive.
That's the real con.
Yeah. Man, I wanted to go. Oh god, that'd be so good. Have you ever been to an AlphaCon?
No, but that looks like a beautiful disaster. I would love to just go there and people watch.
Explain the 69 for 69, please. Thanks. Okay, so while Jack Murphy was on the Chatterbait, you have to elicit donations somehow. Like that's the whole point.
Yeah.
So they're sitting like he and his girlfriend. By the way, this is the same girlfriend that he had sent off to be with another guy. They're like naked for hours on this stupid live stream, trying to maintain some level of stimulation, I guess. I don't know how you would do this, but yeah, so they're
Viagra.
Well, yeah, I would guess something. You'd have to do something, but he's sitting there on the couch, like just trying to get donations, saying 69 for 69, right? And the idea was that you donate 69 of the currency, and they'll do like 69 on the camera, I guess. But we found out what the currency the conversion rate was, because this isn't dollars. It wasn't 69 bucks. It was 69 chatter bucks, which came out to $3.50. So you're all of your dignity, Colby, right there for $3.50.
That's almost Amber Heard money.
No, I have it on good authority that one time she made $9 for it, and so that she'd make $9 for every future attempt. That's how Hollywood works, right?
Yeah.
Whatever your highest paying script was, you will or project, you will get that much as a baseline for every future project. I learned that from the thing.
That's true. Of course. That's exactly how that works. No, it's not even close to that.
It's not.
If your demand doesn't stay up, you might not accept it, but no one's going to offer it.
I don't know.
Worth it.
I think she's got a shot. Do you think she, like, let's say Johnny Depp loses, do you think she has a redemption, or wins? Do you think she has a redemption arc at all?
Probably not.
Like, because I don't think she had much of a career to have a redemption arc.
No, I mean, I can't say much of her career. I don't know much about it. I can't be a judge of what I haven't seen much of, but
I'm not like diminishing
another actress, essentially. As far as like in terms of what I saw, I don't see her having a career after this, though. I'm not even trying to touch her.
I'm not even trying to like belittle the accomplishments that she had. I mean, landing Mira in Aquaman is huge, right? Like that's big, but like, she's not in a bunch of stuff. She didn't seem to be quote unquote on the rise. So I don't know what there's to come back to. That was my point. Like, again, and I'm not criticizing. I don't have any roles in Hollywood. So, but I just don't see why any studio would spend any money on her.
I don't know. It's more of a risk than an asset at this point. So,
right. Sarah Nicholas says, I was born at the same time as Star Wars: A New Hope. God, you people are so young. Oh, wait, no, A New Hope. That's not young. Never mind. That's a little older than me. Not too much. Falling Floor. I entered a contract to buy property. Broker didn't disclose an encroachment and advertised the wrong property, so the seller is pissed too. Could you explain what an impleter, cross-claim, and interpleader are? I mean, do you have weeks of law school time for this? Very, very briefly, and an impleter is someone who comes into a lawsuit as like a co-party. A cross-claim would be if A is suing B and then C, being the impleter, wants to sue A or B, they have a cross claim that's related to the suit between A and B, but is not picking either side. They have their own sort of cross claim. And then interpleader is, I think interpleading is where it's like an impleader, but it's a replacement, sort of like an intervener. So, but I haven't read up on that. That's like an area of law that I don't have to deal with very often. So if you need more info, you could email me and I'll try and get back to you with like longer explanations, but that's the basic gist of it. It's, yeah. And, or I should say, okay, no. So an interpleader No, sorry. An intervener would be replacing a party to the lawsuit. An interpleader would be someone joining a party to a lawsuit against the other party. Whew. Good luck with that. Okay. Okay, here we go. Sorry. I'm a psychopath, says Kyle Dunnigan invented Wendell, aka Norbert, the forensic guy, months ago. Very suspect. If you get the reference, Nick, it's hilarious. If not, I'll do a swig of whiskey with you. Win-win. I don't. Sorry, buddy. I don't know who Kyle Dunnigan is. Roy Lee Walker says he's putting me to sleep. Nick, let's go. Kraken Arge says, would he be up to fencing Captain Picard? Would you fence Captain Picard?
Sure.
I think you'd win. Because like he's pretty old.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about George Takei? Would you fence him?
Yeah, I mean he's up there too.
Right. But he at least has like, I think, well, Sulu was a fencer. He was trained in fencing in Star Trek. What's better, Star Trek or Star Wars?
That's not. I don't know. For me, Star Wars. I might be biased because of growing up on it and Lucasfilm. They're just, you know, for me, what's more interesting is being a part of these franchises is seeing how impactful they are in people's lives. And so it doesn't matter like what franchise you are. When you're doing on something that has an established fan base, for me, the most important thing is like respecting that fan base. So when I get hired to work on something like that, I like to do my research on the people that it means the most to, because that's who I feel like I'm working for. Yeah, I'm hired to work for this director or these producers or whoever, but when I'm doing something like Jurassic World, I research what the fans want, because that's who we as filmmakers really owe it to. And I feel like that's something that the studios need to be more reflective of.
So when I go to conventions and do panels, I do the For the Fans panel. And I talk about the fact that entertainment isn't about conventions is the main context. But it spills over into the rest of entertainment that, you know, the convention isn't about the guest. It's not about the vendors. It's not about the convention holder. It's about the people who come and pay the tickets, right? Like it's for the fans, and the guests are there for the fans, and the conventions should be booking people who the guests want to see. And that's kind of the purpose there. They should be bringing vendors that the guests want to shop at. I mean, see, it makes logical sense, but I feel like so many industries are losing this sight of who it's all for. And from my personal experience, I see this a lot in the anime voice actor industry in America, the American anime VAs. I feel like they believe the conventions are actually for them. They see them as because they don't get paid like you do, right? American voice actors in anime get paid an hourly rate for their studio time, and that's it. They don't get residuals.
Voice actors in America don't even. Most voice actors in the US are non-union.
Right. Union voice actors for American animation can get residuals and stuff like that. But yeah, everybody else doesn't.
No, people working doing Funimation, that is all non-union work. Most of them are non-union. Yeah. And if they are union, it's because they're FICOR, which means that they're paying union dues, but have kind of essentially denounced the union to do non-union work, which is reflected poorly on in the industry. But you're not going to see a lot of these voice actors being in Hollywood films. They're non-union actors.
Right.
Nothing against that. It's just the nature of there's just not a lot of money. The actors that you see at conventions, like the voice actors, that's where they make most of their money, to be honest, is not doing voice acting work. It's going to conventions. That's where they get their biggest paychecks.
Right. And that's what I was about to talk about, is like these guys will do it's $75 an hour in LA, in the union. They'll get 2-hour minimums, but in Texas, where most of the studios are now, they don't get a minimum. And so they might get a negotiated rate above 75 if they're like a particular quality actor, but they really don't get paid much. Like you said, they go and get to conventions. But I think that some of them have started to look at those conventions as their due payday, as like part of their career.
Yeah.
And I think they don't remember who the conventions are for, and that they're there at the service of the fans. They get compensated for it. But I think that spills over a lot into Hollywood and well, in every industry. I feel like so many businesses have forgotten that the customer is the person they're making stuff for. They're not making things for themselves. The people who make pencils aren't making Bic, I guess. They're not making pencils for them. They're making pencils for people who need pencils.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing with entertainment products. You're making it for the people who consume it. And I feel like that's getting lost. So that's what I talk about a lot. Let's see. Xander's Rant says, Colby, how is being the high ground to Adam Savage?
Pretty great, honestly. I hadn't mentioned that yet, but I was on Mythbusters,
right?
And I did one of the Star Wars specials, and that was pretty cool. It flew me out to San Francisco, and I was there for a couple of weeks, and they were great. Obviously, we were trying to prove something. There's like no grounds to test what we were there to test. We were basically just there to swing swords around, and so I could teach Adam and Jamie the choreography styles from Star Wars. It was fun. They're all great guys. Adam, I still watch some of his tested stuff, and whenever we happen to be in the same place, I'll catch up with him.
That's cool. Roy Lee Walker says any second Nick is going to start dropping the "That's crazy, man." Probably. Justin Vincent, T. Greg poisoned the school children. SMDH, check the farms. I heard about that. The salmonella deliverer. Mike Hoyer sent a bunch of bread. Fandom Minimalist says advice for an upstart art and entertainment channel. I have no idea. If you're talking YouTube, the only advice I can give you on YouTube is do it every day. Make a video every day, release it at the same time, over and over and over. And that's, you've got to train the algorithm to distribute your content. And that's what you got to do. So make the same type of thing that's repeatable over and over and over. But mainly do something you like, because if you have to do that for something you hate, you'll hate it. And so don't do that. Incipient says, I like your streams. An interesting lawyer guest would be Leto's Law. Covers different types of news and gives a legal take of very good videos and interesting topics. Yeah, he's on my list of people I need to talk to. Okay, here we go. Nero Hito. Here he is. Here's the super chat he sent earlier. Johnny Depp supported and donated to the release of the West Memphis 3 in 2011 for a triple murder charge in 1993. What is your opinion of the West Memphis 3 trial? Didn't watch it. Haven't read about it outside of briefly glancing at the wiki when you brought it up 5,000 times. I don't have an opinion. Synapse says Arcane is really good, but it's not a Netflix original. Some other studio under Riot made it. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Zumadog says Depp has a movie role lined up, King Louis the 15th. Then he should do dark De Niro type roles like Cape Fear and Taxi Driver. Pirate / Wonka days have passed. Well, maybe his acting voice has gone darker now. He's seen the world. He's been red pilled or whatever. I don't know. I can't imagine being in his shoes, man. Yeah, going from the peak to the valley that fast has got to be a mind fuck. AWM Fishing says, for Colby, is Hollywood noticing how YouTube and YouTubers are influencing things?
I mean, what is the question there? Let me read that again.
Is Hollywood noticing how YouTube and YouTubers are influencing things?
Yeah, a little bit. A lot of times it's just demographics and numbers. I would say they still don't always get it right. Something became popular on YouTube was Joseph Kahn's Power / Rangers, which was basically a Hollywood fan film of Power Rangers trying to make like a dark rated R Power Rangers short. And it was very successful. The studios took note of it. They greenlit a Power Rangers movie essentially because of a YouTube video. And then they didn't do what everybody wanted because of that YouTube video, which was a rated R dark Power Rangers.
Yeah,
And
that
instead
sounds awesome.
they just made like this, 4-quadrant tent pole, which for in the industry, a 4-quadrant tent pole is something that appeals to men, women, young and old. Um, and that's when they get very restricting about the kind of language and violence that they show, and that's not the fan
It's
base.
gotta
It
be
was make
PG-13.
something for the older fan base, and it wasn't until Deadpool actually came around and showed, oh hey, you can actually make something that's off a comic book and make it rated R and it'll be successful. And they only then like did the light bulb go off in their head that this might actually work.
Yeah, I like Deadpool. I really liked Logan. I mean, Logan, I think, is still my
Mhm.
favorite Marvel.
Yeah,
It's not a
Logan was good.
Marvel movie because
I was
it's
almost in that
different.
movie. They did a
In
check
Logan?
availability on me. Yeah, I had read for it, and when I saw the movie, I didn't even see um, what I had read for in the script. So my guess is that they actually decided just not to do those scenes
Hmm.
because what I read for was cut out.
That's my favorite one of all. I know it's not a Marvel movie, but that I think that's the best superhero movie that they've done personally. I know it's not the most popular. Logan is overrated tripe. Yeah, sure, whatever. No, it was. I thought it was the best one. I thought it dealt with like real issues in a very interesting way, in the way that the X-Men have dealt with real issues for a long time by not directly dealing with them,
Hmm.
but by using the mutant to do it. I thought that was very cool. Litho Mike says 2017 was a great movie. I love the way it was filmed. I think you mean 1917. Dr. Industry Rajan, the conscious psychologist, says, okay, just now watching. How bad was Cross for Johnny Depp today? Sorry, you've probably been asked this a bunch already. No, I have not. You know, Cross for Johnny Depp today was a little bit rocky, but I think they misrepresented the text messages because they say incoming on them. And they appear to be a group text with Johnny Depp, Steven Duders, and someone else. And so he seemed really confused about those text messages, swears he didn't write them. And I think his team might have missed the fact that those weren't his texts. Can't know, obviously, because they redacted the phone numbers, and I don't know what Johnny Depp's phone number is anyway. So I wouldn't be able to tell you, but I'm hoping they're looking at those tonight and finding out that they were not true. I mean, they don't disprove his case or anything, but because he denied sending them and then was presented them, it really does impact his credibility. And so that was a big deal. I think that was the most damaging thing, was the hit to his credibility on saying he didn't send those texts when they're sitting right in front of him. But it looks like he genuinely didn't send them. So that, to me, that's weird. Drills McWillow says, hey, Colby, when you saw Morbius in theaters, was your favorite part was when he said, stand back, I'm going to morb.
Hmm.
Did you see
Yeah,
Morbius in theaters?
it's no, I didn't, but it's morbing time is my favorite line in the movie.
But he actually says that in the movie. It's morbing time.
I no, that's just a meme, but
Are you sure it's a meme?
I'm not sure that it's a meme. Ask the chat; they know.
Is it out? I didn't realize it was out already.
Can I get a "It's Morbin time" in the chat, guys?
It's Morbin time. Uh, who knows? Let's see. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Andrew Stout says, I coached at NOFC for a few years. I wonder if I coached you. I hope not. If not, I hope you had Ted Cotton. Otherwise, I despair for you. Congrats on your success.
NOFC, New Orleans fencing. No, I didn't actually fence when I was over there. I did most of my fencing when I was in Rhode Island at RIFAC, which is where I've been back training under
Gotcha.
Alex Reap, was the head coach of Brown University.
So you still train for fencing now?
Yeah, I mean, so I recently got back into it. It's fun. It keeps me in shape. I just love the sport. And so this year I got back into it, competing. Went to a bit later on. Went to a couple competitions. Qualified for the national championship this summer. So I'm
So you're
just
like
gonna
actually
go
good
to
at
that.
it.
Yeah, I mean, I started fencing in the FIE when I was 12 years old. So I started fencing about 10 or 11. Started fencing in the FIE from 12 years old, which is the International Fencing Federation.
Sure.
So from the time that I was like 14, I was about like 54th in the country and competed pretty heavily for some years.
Are you ranked now or
This year I'm just getting back into it, so I haven't
sure.
gone to enough tournaments to be able to figure out what a national or international ranking would be, because I haven't really competed seriously in like 10 years. So all of that has just kind of fallen wayside, but I've been fencing and keeping up and doing all right. I came in 15th at the regional national qualifier,
I think you'd
which
win
is
if you
solid.
brought a like a Louisville Slugger and just slapped the sword out of their hands and just started bludgeoning them
Yeah,
mercilessly.
yeah, I might get black carded, but we can try that strategy. I'm
It'd be
sure
worth it.
my coaches would absolutely approve of that. Um,
Anything for the win. You gotta have like that coach from Cobra Kai or whatever, right? Like
mhm.
can do whatever. Amateur Ant says, ask the guest what he thinks of with the January 6th protester and the protesters outside of the SCOTUS houses. If you don't want to answer that question, you don't have to, because I know that like getting heavily into political questions could be an issue for
Yeah,
Hollywood.
it's something I generally just stay away from. It's usually just
Yeah,
political things in nature.
I'm not here to ask you like those types of hard questions. I'm here to ask you if you like your furries roasted
Mhm.
or not. You know,
Yeah,
like
on a fire, just end to end, turning over.
have you ever thought like when one of your friends is wearing a fur costume of like taking the head off the costume, dropping a grenade down the front of it, putting the head back on and running?
Yeah, I have friends that are furries, and they have a great Twitter popularity, and they've been getting sick of the community of recent. So even people that have like a fan base in the Twitter like furry community
You know
are getting
how
a little
bad
sick of it.
here's how bad furries are. My buddy and I interviewed a diaper fetishist on the channel, right? Like a crinkle bottom diaper fetishist. And he said, "Hey, at least I'm not a furry."
What's worse, there's a thing called diaper furs.
I know. That's why he said, no matter what there is, he's like, it doesn't matter how degenerate your fetish is or whatever your thing is, there's always a furry version of it. So that makes it actually
Yeah,
worse. So
way worse.
furries are always at the bottom. Oh my gosh.
That's a level of
Uh,
degeneracy I don't even think this chat can touch.
Mike, they were here for it. Mike Catalano Music says, what was the big breakthrough with Norbert asking about OSX Photos app versus version 1 and version 3, suggesting pics were edited? Team Amber Heard countered it inconclusive. No, I don't think any juror watched that exchange and thought that it was inconclusive. I think every juror noticed, especially when he put the pictures laid over each other with the color shift. Every juror saw exactly what they did, that they edited the photos. They basically just increased the saturation to make, like, if you increase the saturation on me right now, the redness that you see here will become much more pronounced, and it'll look like I've been slapped across the face as opposed to just drinking a few drinks. And that's what Amber Heard did. Whether or not she was struck and had a mark there, it was extremely enhanced by the color saturation change, and that was apparent to the jury when they laid those, if they were watching, when they laid those photos over the top of each other, and they showed that they submitted multiple photos that were at various stages of editing. Very, very bad for them. Zayden says, hashtag ad unbreaded, huh? I hear there's a super hip website that might have an email list you can sign up for to directly shape the website. No idea what it is, but it might be pretty unbreaded. Sounds cool though.
Somebody in the chat mentioned the Peter Mayhew Foundation, which, for those of you who don't know, Peter Mayhew's the actor who played Chewbacca, who passed a few years ago.
Oh,
yeah, that's an incredible organization that does a lot of donation to kids with, you know, very serious ailments and need surgeries.
I didn't know he had a foundation.
Yeah, Peter Mayhew was a great friend of mine, and him and his family are wonderful people. They're actually in Dallas. They're just outside Dallas. They have a farm in the Peter Mayhew. They call it the Chewbacca Museum on the state, which is just they built a room of just everything that they've ever collected and been given from fans and props from the movies. They keep it, and it's really, really cool to see that in person. But the Mayhews are wonderful people, and their foundation has been going strong. So that's like for me, that's what I have selected on Amazon Smile or whatever, because you can choose a foundation to support with your purchases, and highly recommend for people who are looking for a cause to look up the Peter Mayhew Foundation.
So you mentioned anime a little while back, and it just occurred to me to ask, since we were talking about voice actors and conventions, do you have a favorite voice actor in anime or actress or both?
Voice, probably Monica Rail.
She's your favorite?
I would say, just because she has like this squeaky, high pitched, like, awesome voice that is almost always yelling.
Disavow me immediately. Like, for your own good, and I won't take it personally. Just try. She hates me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've spent, I think, I personally know her too well outside of, like, I've been with her twice, and once it was her and Scott McNeil reading adult novels aloud, and that was beautiful.
I bet that was pretty funny.
Yeah,
I bet that was good.
Scott McNeil was trashed. He's just sitting there. He can barely keep his cowboy hat on his head.
Yeah, I would, if you ever see her again, do not, if I come up, just, I don't know how it would, disavow me. I will never take offense to it. She legitimately hates me.
Good. Noted.
We won't get into it. We won't get into it too much. What about voice actors?
Voice actors, like,
like anime male voice actors.
I have to say one of my favorite voice actors is that he doesn't do really a whole lot of anime, but Mark Hamill, Joker.
Oh, of course you would pick Mark Hamill, though.
I have to.
You're walking in his shoes, right? Like you're Mark Hamill's mocap. Like you can't. I mean, not really, but you're Skywalker, right?
Yeah.
So you got to pick Mark Hamill. That's like, he does do a good Joker. I'll give him that. I'll give him that. Okay. Well, thank you for answering that. And legitimately, just remember, if it ever comes up, you have no idea who I am.
Who's your favorite voice actor?
I don't know enough voice actors to care. I'm personal. Monica doesn't like me because I'm personal friends with Vic Mignogna. If I don't know if you know about that whole situation.
That'll do it.
Yeah. So
that'll.
The look on your face right now is priceless.
I've spent some time around Vic.
So yeah, she's not a big fan of me. But I'm friends with him. I kind of like Todd Haberkorn, but I really don't know most anime voice actors or names or anything. I was never that into it, so couldn't really tell you too many of them. But yeah. Makes me really happy. That was your involved people. That's the funniest thing that could have happened. Jeff B, when Johnny wins, do you celebrate with a glass of Jack Daniels rum or Maker's Mark? I bought a special Maker's Mark for Friday. I did. I'm that much of a horrible person that I bought a bottle of Maker's Mark, a special, not Maker's 46. It's a small barrel select. I've never seen it before.
My mom has her
Drills.
name on a barrel of Maker Mark in the factory.
Who does?
My mom.
On
Her
a
name,
whole,
I don't even know.
on a
She did
barrel, like
yeah. So apparently they're out of the Virgin Islands or whatever. And my mom does a lot of disaster work, and so she's basically responsible for rebuilding half the Virgin Islands. So, she gets her name on a barrel or something like that.
well, there you go. That's cool.
Yeah.
Are they going to give her the barrel? Like not the liquor inside, but
I
like
don't
the
know.
barrel when it's done?
I have no
That'd
idea.
be fun.
They'd have to ship it to the Azores. It'd probably cost them an arm and a leg more than the barrel itself.
Drills McWow says, is Colby familiar with Dr. Michael M. Morbius? The M stands for Morbius.
Just as more bussy.
What it like? No one has ever asked me about Morbius. No, I've never seen a chat about Morbius until you come on. What is the connection you have to this? Why is this coming up now?
It's the most popular film that ever existed. Jared Leto is Morbius.
Yeah, I get that, but like, why now? I do this show every night. Like you realize, and this has never come up.
And now you are going to be stuck with Morbin time for the rest of your life.
Nelson Chen says Shrek is the greatest anime of all time. Howdy Doodly Champion, the Diddly Doodler says, ask Colby if he's aware of the passing of Kentaro Miura. Are you aware that Kentaro Miura died?
No.
The author of Berserk.
Oh, yeah. Berserk. Sorry. Yes. Yeah. That never got finished.
No.
The story.
No, son of a bitch died before he finished it.
Yeah.
What a quitter. I mean, if you ask me.
Yeah, just alt F forward.
Yeah, very bad. Cledge Fenrir, Nick, the greatest anime of all time is Interspecies. Reviewers, be a true degenerate, embrace the weebness. Look, again, I am partial to Redo of the Healer.
No, Interspecies Reviewer is way better.
Is it?
Oh yeah, it's phenomenal. It's up there with your name.
I mean, I've watched a couple. I've seen clips of it. We'll say that people sent me, and they're like, "You should watch this anime," but it's hard to find. And Funimation cucked out of dubbing it after 4 episodes.
That's unfortunate.
So, yeah. It was right after they drank the potion that made them trans. I don't know why they stopped. I really have no idea. Amateur Ant says, can you ask the guest if he prefers Kevin Spacey or Tom Hanks in Lolita Express?
That's a long cast on that flight.
Yeah. Marneas Calgar says, did you hear Ralph got a beating in Portugal again? That guy has the worst karma. Yes, I did. I did hear it. And that's what happens. What the hell? Hold on. Checking something real quick. Okay, sorry. Okay, here we go. Shadow Fenrir says, I once encountered Chris Chan at too many games in Philly and later see him getting kicked out of the con. I describe it to people like I witnessed JFK getting deleted in 4K. Depp Trial says, did you see Tremaine call Amber out with his eyes? You must see. Yeah, someone mentioned it. I haven't gone back and looked yet. Ghost Shock says, any thoughts on the Cain Velasquez case? Ex-MMA champ that shot a pedo's father. Also ever been to Dragon Con? Best con. The Cain Velasquez case is wild. We'll see what happens. It looks like he's probably going to be guilty. I don't know how he gets around that, but the guy who is, assaulting his child should probably burn in hell. I've never been to Dragon Con. Have you ever been to Dragon Con?
No, I've not. I really want to go. I really want to DJ at that one. I know a lot of people who help organize it and are involved, and I still just haven't manage to get a year to get over there, I really want to DJ that.
Jesus Trisp says, hey, a fellow pirate, Colby, siding with Reapers and burning Golden Sands or siding with Merrick and restoring Golden Sands? From Sea of Thieves, I think.
Oh, yeah, I've not even gotten to that part recently. I know that that's part of the new update.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I was playing earlier today, but that's like the first time in a month I've played.
Stay strong. Welcome to Paralegal Status, Danielle Villarreal. Watch Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans. Manly tears were shed that day. Oh, you and Flash. You and Flash. P.S. It's been a wild ride seeing Nick grow and bringing other lawyers. Keep it up. Will do. Austin Butcher says, does Colby have any thoughts on the Alec Baldwin fiasco? Also, when was the AK guy on? I missed the stream. He was on twice a while back. I think they're in the title if you look for it. Do you have any thoughts on the Alec Baldwin stuff?
Yeah, none of that should have ever happened.
Yeah.
I don't place any of that really on Alec Baldwin, to be honest.
Oh, really?
When you're an actor, our job is not to be weapon masters. That's why we have people all around us. The only liability that he might have had was as a producer of the project. But that comes down to your prop masters, your armorers. That's like for anybody who deals with weapons in Hollywood, that comes down to your prop master, your armorer. Those are the people who handle weapons that you trust with your lives with them, and then also, your assistant directors who are also responsible for safety on set. When you're an actor, your job is focused on acting purely.
Sure.
It's not your job to deal with things like that. Now, as an actor, that's something I'm familiar with. When I'm around firearms on set, I'm going to check them. I'm going to clear them.
Yeah, because see, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
I feel like it's still incumbent upon the person holding a weapon, because that's how I've always been raised and trained, is that the
yeah,
person holding the weapon has the responsibility to clear the weapon and to make
yeah.
sure what they're doing with it is safe.
Actors, I think, should get better training for these, but that's not what we're hired to do. We hire people who are experts in that, and that is their job. Now, I still do that, like as an actor, just because I'm incredibly precautious. But I always clear weapons. I will, if there are dummy rounds in there. Um, Usually, you wouldn't be firing a weapon that has dummy rounds. You'll be firing something that'll have blanks.
Right.
And you always check those. You check the ammo. You want to make sure that the rounds going in there are blank cartridges. Um, but it's just something that people don't know, and when they'll think that they know enough about it, and that's still not enough to be perfectly safe around firearms on set.
Sure.
I know I've been around stunt people who think they know about weapons, and they still don't have safety precautions. You'll see barrels getting flagged left and right. Safety on set sometimes can be a bit negligent, um, and it's important to make sure that when you do have particularly things that are fireable, which will be blank guns are really just real guns with, for the most part, real
Blank
guns
ammo.
with blank ammo.
Right.
There are different variations that have particular barrels and things so that a round can uh, pass through its
Well,
chamber, but that's not most of what we use on set. And a lot of times people are like, well, in this day and age of CGI, why can't everything be CGI? Because it just doesn't look good.
yeah.
Because, when a slide goes back and you have recoil, it's a practical effect. And I think that there are other ways of doing it. I think there are CO2 cartridges that are kind of equivalent to airsoft guns that you could use,
Yeah,
but you're not
I've
going to
done
get muzzle flashes. It's not the same.
I've done those CO2 guns at where they have the light it's like a light gun, but it's got the CO2 thing, so you can go to the virtual firing range.
Yeah.
Uh, I've done those, and I mean, like, it's not the same.
No. And
Not
it'll
even
give
close.
you, you'll have the slide will go back, it'll lock, depending on how it's made. but it's still not the same as a blank firing weapon. You're not going to get that muzzle flash, which no matter, when you're looking at fake muzzle flashes in a film, the
Yeah.
lighting and the scenery is different.
Right.
When you're in a dark space and you have muzzle flashes going off, the lighting coming from the muzzles creates shadows and interesting cinematic effect. You just have to be more careful.
Sure. Charles League says you should look up why the chainsaw was invented, Nick. Okay. Cynthia says, Colby, real question. You know you've just landed in the world of red pill right-wing degeneracy here, right? Can I save you? You work in LA. I don't know if that's a fair characterization, but
Yeah.
Cynthia.
Here's the thing about LA. Los Angeles at the studio, like the executive level, there are no left or right. I mean, it's just money. So at the end of the day, that's really what Hollywood cares about.
There you go.
Yeah.
Jose Vega says, yo, Rackets, could I get a birthday toast? Need something good after waking up with facial paralysis. The hell'd you do? Oh my gosh, that sounds horrible. We're almost done here, by the way. We're getting to the end of the chats. To Jose Vega, happy birthday. Though your face may be paralyzed, life will move on around you and through you. And hopefully the life moving through you will invigorate those muscles and nerves and remove the issues that you are suffering from now. And that temporary setback will be something that'll be nothing more than a funny meme even a few days from now. Happy birthday, buddy. I hope otherwise it was great. Cheers. Stephen Larder says, if WB/DC Comics want to actually make successful movies, fire Heard in Aquaman 3 and introduce Depp as Constantine. New franchise. I don't know if that's going to happen. I really don't think Amber Heard's going to get Aquaman 3 after Hameda from Warner Brothers testified by deposition about her contract. And finding out that Aquaman 3 is an option contract, I don't think they're going to exercise that option. I think they'll recast or write her out. I think that
it's pretty easy to recast something.
Yeah. Jake says Isaac Cappy made a series of videos called Brackets and Jackets, calling out and naming the pedos in Hollywood. So Hollywood hired someone to unalive him. Rip Cappy, you magnificent son of a bitch. Nick, toast to Cappy, please. To Isaac Cappy, a man I've never heard of, but will be researching shortly. Cheers to you. Okay, next. Stephen Larder says, don't know comic book story arcs at all, but just a thought. Yeah, me either, buddy. 200 Watt Studio says, time for Colby to read the Daily Unbreaded. I'm not going to have Colby do that. I'm not going to do that to him at all. He seems like a very good and decent gentleman. He has nothing to do with that in any capacity. Mike Hoyer says, put me in the screen cap evidence when Colby sues Rekieta Law for ruining his acting career. No. Daily Dose. Corey in the House is clearly the best anime. Duh. Gross. Outlaw Josiah says, makers used to have an ambassador program. They name a barrel after you and send you Christmas gifts every year as it ages. You're then invited to go to the distillery for a tasting and can buy a bottle from your barrel. Hey, that's cool. XP, thank you for the donation. Character holding. Thanks, Colby. Donated to Peter's charity. Like they had a beneficiaries page. Can't verify it myself,
awesome.
But taking your word for it.
Thank you. Yeah, no, they do a lot of really great work. I think you can follow their Facebook page is where they keep most up to date about what they're doing.
And then XP says, I'm a whiskey collector, recent master's grad from USC in screenwriting, and a video game nerd. I feel like I'm in the right place. By the way, anyone want to read a half-hour pilot? Not me, because I don't have time to read anything. I got 2 new books today, and I don't know when they're going to get read.
I get sent scripts all the time. The reality is I generally read the first 3 pages. If I like the first 3 pages, I'll read the first 10 pages. And if I like that, I'll generally finish the script.
I'm going to start sending you 1 script a week to greenlight my project.
I'm not the person who greenlight. I have started producing a bit recently. I've got some scripts of my own that I've been writing in the kind of EDM hip hop realm. I do a lot of like one of my scripts. I've got an espionage comedy. Another one is like a heist comedy.
Sure.
Uh, they're fun. I've got an animated show that I'm trying to revive that from like the early 2000s, and that is moving along really well. And I'm super excited about all the work on that. That's been a chore. It's been two years developing a pitch for to bring back an animated show. But
Nice. Well, I wish you good luck on that.
thank
With
you.
that, I think I'm gonna draw our interview to a close. I do a segment on this show that I'm not gonna put you through. It's called Unbreaded, and it's where I read a crazy man's manifesto, one page of it every day, and it's really really spicy. So I wasn't gonna make you stick around for it,
Okay.
like because it the crazy guy. He was a UCLA philosophy professor,
Mhm.
and he threatened to murder like the whole department. And he wrote
That's
this
spicy.
yeah, he wrote this 800-page manifesto on he was a black identitarian, but he was super into this white blonde German philosophy professor there at UCLA, and I'm pretty sure he believes that she slept with a white student or a Jewish student or both. So he hates white people and he hates Jews and he hates Italians a lot. And he hates just about everybody who isn't black. And so it's like the
And
funniest.
he decides to work at UCLA?
They hired him. Uh, the best part, so his PhD is from Duke University,
Mhm.
and his manifesto that he wrote is effectively the same as his dissertation, except it just uses the N word a lot.
Oh, okay.
But like when it wasn't written with such like horrendous language, they were all for it. Like his basic idea or philosophy, I guess, his philosophical precept is that um, your race is a literal inherent trait that influences your culture and personality. Not that like, well, white people tend to live in this type of socioeconomic environment, therefore they develop these traits, but that whiteness is an inherent thing, blackness is an inherent thing, Asianness is an inherent thing, and therefore uh it makes sense to segregate into these communities and to have strong identitarian ideas about race. So he's effectively a black supremacist. But the way he wrote the dissertation, they were all like, "Yes, this is great, cool. You're a PhD now." Then UCLA hired him, and then things went really south afterwards. He threatened to murder everybody. So,
Interesting.
uh, so I pick a page at random from his manifesto and read it, but I don't make people stick around if I think that would have anything potentially impactful for them because I don't want to.
Fair enough. Are there
That's
any other before we get to that, are there any I know there's like a lineup of questions there. I just want to make sure that we get to anything anybody had.
uh, I've
Private
got
donors there.
of the there are 3 left on the paid donations. So I've got those right here. They just came in. Zayden says Cappy fell off a bridge and Tom Hanks found his clothes after and added it to his weird collection of pictures he collected. Research if you want. Amateur Ant says Harvey Weinstein did nothing wrong. They were all 2 consenting adults at the time, just like Bill Cosby. Now here's your purple drink, giggity. And Pimp Poppy says, what is your take about the Resident Evil final chapter back in 2016 lawsuit where that stunt double who got injured and lost her arms? I have no knowledge of that, but sounds interesting. I
Yeah.
would not want to lose my arms. And so I
No,
think,
stunts is they're dangerous, you know. For the most part, things go all right, and sometimes things are less careful than they should be. I lost my friend John Bernicker. He passed away working on The Walking Dead. He
damn,
was a mentor of mine early on in the industry, and um, learned a lot from him. And he was a phenomenal person who always helped every single person around him in every way he could. Yeah, and he died on set. So it's
yeah,
unfortunate. It happens, and a lot of times it's hindsight will be 2020 on things, but we
right.
just have to take every precaution that we possibly can. And that's why a lot of people have feelings about firearms on set. A lot of times people just need better training, and I think it's on the production to pay for that training, make sure that sometimes they do. I know a lot of films will give actors training, but I find that a lot of times training is not about the safety, it's to make the film look good, because they want to make sure that an actor knows how to properly hold a firearm and has a somewhat decent uh, grip on a pistol. But
Yeah.
it, the reality is we should have better training for everybody working with weapons on set,
Well, I think
because I see just flag barrels all the time.
one of the big things with the Baldwin thing that I know a lot of people have questions about is why the hell is there a live round on the set at
Mhm.
all? Like,
There shouldn't be, and sometimes there are in cases. Very, very rarely will live rounds be used. The question is, how did a live round get there? And the answers, people jump to conspiracy theories and all kinds of things, but the reality
yeah,
is
no,
uh,
I don't have a
something
conspiracy theory on
happened,
it.
and we don't know what, and it shouldn't just comes down to negligence on set is
Yeah.
what that was. There were a lot of things that should have been checked, and it just didn't meet those checklists. So
Well, man, it's been a real pleasure having you on. I've enjoyed our conversation quite a bit. Thank you
mhm.
for talking about your life and career
Yeah, thanks for having me.
and stuff.
It's fun.
And and
Yeah.
yeah, if you ever have anything come up you want to talk
Oh
about, let
yeah,
me know. But
absolutely. It's always good to inspire people greatly on how they should follow their hopes and dreams into the film industry. And no, honestly, it's the worst. A lot of times people will always just like look for inspiration for it, and a lot of times I just don't have any to give. But that's the truth of this industry, is it's very tough, and for people who are passionate about it, more power to you. But
yeah, well, it's I'm not comparing them in the same way, but people ask me a lot about how to like do YouTube
mhm.
successfully. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
fuck if I know. Like I got really, really fortunate. And then when the fortune came by, I grabbed onto it and wrote it as hard as I could. And that's what I try and do every time that there's something to do. Like for is a Johnny Depp trial this time, it's Kyle Rittenhouse trial last time. They're the 2020 election stuff, just because people wanted to talk about that from a legal perspective. So all of those things have been big boosts to my channel, but it comes with being there ready for the work. And then when the opportunity comes, working your ass off. Right. But like that may never ever happen, no matter how much you try. And I feel like that it's similar in Hollywood. Like
Mhm.
you can be, and I'm sure people who are legitimately good actors, or
Yeah,
who could
yeah.
be very good actors,
I'm
and they'll never
plenty
get
of
a
friends. I have
role.
lots of friends who are struggling to still get their first role, and they've been fighting for years, like years, to get into this industry, and still have not. They've had been hired for something, and then it fell through because something got cut out or something got changed. It's tough.
Yeah.
So props to anybody who tries to do it, because it's not easy, and it's going to go to the people who have connections, who have family, who have money. It's not cheap. Now, like you can't even write off your expenses anymore, because we work for companies, and unless um, our business expenses have to be paid for by a company, but because there are so many uh, like itemized expenses is one of the hardest things right now, is that you can't write off itemized expenses as an actor anymore. Used to be
That's
able to. I would write
nuts.
off when you have $35,000 a year just in travel expenses. The average person can't do that.
Right. Yeah. That's
So
nuts.
yeah, it's tough. So it's expensive, it's impossible to do, and everything is working against you. So you have to really love what you do to pursue your passions in this industry.
Uh, Last one, Bada Beer says, I'm sorry that was your friend. I worked a bit on The Walking Dead here around Atlanta. My brother was a sound guy and got fired after the accident because he brought up the danger, NDA and settlement. So there you
Yeah.
go. Well, sorry to hear about that. But again, thank you for sharing your story, man. And we'll talk soon. I bid you farewell.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. Look forward to watching more of your coverage on Amber Turd. And
And don't forget, if you ever meet Monica Rial, you've never spoken to me, and you heard I'm a pile of shit. And
who?
and yeah, exactly, exactly. All
All
right,
right.
man. Well, thanks a bunch. Have a good
I'll
night.
catch you guys later.
All right, peace. Okay, well that was Colby Boothman. I like him. He seems like a nice chap. I was very happy to have him come on the show, share his story a little bit. It's a little bit different than other interviews I do, but we're in this kind of Hollywood realm, and he is a guy who, like he said on Twitter, he was in a major franchise movie, and it didn't lead to this like meteoric rise of his career. And he has kind of a memorable part, right? Like if you don't remember, he's one of the Velociraptor trainers. He's knocked off a bridge. He falls into the pen. Chris Pratt comes in to save him by using his, mental powers to calm the raptors. It's like calm the raptors, like calming the seas, like Jesus. He does that and then saves him. And so, he's got this interesting part, but it's not the way that agent represented it. Not everybody in Hollywood gets this star power. And I know they want to make Amber Heard happen as like a star, but she's not. She's really just an actress. And the overwhelming majority of Hollywood is just actors and actresses. They're people who are working and they make a living. It's a hard job with a lot of demand. And sure, they're all hoping for that breakout, but many of them will never, ever get it. So I thought it'd be cool to bring on someone with that perspective to talk about that and just to have a good conversation with. And he was a nice guy. So it was really funny also that his favorite voice actress is Monica Rial. That was hilarious to me. So, um, whew, okay. Well, there you go. Mary Rose says there is a legal way to write off his travel. Um, yeah, I don't, the whole writing off travel thing, not being an accountant, I'm not going to speak to it, but it seems like you should be able to write it off, but I have no idea. Uh, okay. Can Amber Heard get prosecuted for what we learned today? She's probably not going to be prosecuted. People need to not focus on that because it's just so unlikely. Will you be posting the reminder for tomorrow morning's live stream after this stream? Yes, I have to actually create the live stream links, generate them, and then I'll send them out like I do every night normally. Almond John 1 is Drex coming on tomorrow. I doubt it. Tomorrow is Thursday. I don't think he'll be out until, if he comes out tomorrow, it won't be till late usually. And I don't know that I'll be doing a tomorrow night show yet because I'm going to do the 24-hour stream on Friday. And I'm not 100% sure when that's starting. But Friday's 24-hour stream is going to be something. It's going to be something. So, Kick Jack says, please have on Mark Gruber for more Hollywood perspective. Plus, y'all can talk about freedom in America's Untold Stories. Bada Bear says, they promised my brother jobs. He was booked for WrestleMania. The last job was worse. Damn. Ryan, didn't I respond to you? I did respond to you. Why are you sending me eyes? You responded back. What do you want? Okay. Oh, guys, so I got a copyright dispute, or I got a copyright claim on one of my Johnny Depp streams. and it was a Russian music company for a Russian song. And it was while Richard Marx was testifying, which I don't know if you noticed, but there was no Russian song playing during that testimony. But I got a copyright claim. So I sent back my dispute with just a shitload of profanity in it. I don't know like what they're claiming. There's no music. There's nothing in it at all. So I just sent back that they should die in. I think I said the people claiming it are copyright trolls who should die in a fucking fire. That was part of my response. So there you go. There you go. Camelot watches Nick. Camelot's my bro, man. Is he in here? There he is. You excited for the verdict, boys? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Camelot's great. So, okay, guys, now that Colby is gone, and I've given a little bit of time for the Hollywood bots to stop watching. Unbread! It is time. It is time for the unbreaded. Death sentences by Dr. Matthew C. Harris. Lassie F says, say a short video with you. Damn, you have some height on you. You saw a short video of me. Yeah, I'm relatively tall. People they get this impression because my camera's up and I'm sitting down and it's at a down angle that I'm short, but I'm actually almost 6'3", which is not super tall, but it is relatively tall. So yeah, I'm not that little. Ash B says, is it an obligation to stop someone from doing something you think might kill them, or do you just let you do you? It's so hard sometimes. It depends on the thing. You might have a moral obligation. You don't have a legal obligation. But you can only help people so much. I don't know. I don't know the answer. But I try and encourage people not to die. But I'm not sure what you're talking about. The Rule of Rage says, hey, Nick, please don't forget my last super chat for Vices. The Discord needs to know. Also going to Ireland, what whiskey do you recommend that I can only get there? Writer's Tears is good. Get some Writer's Tears for you. Kyan Rennell says, would you let Camelot hold your cock to save the earth? Probably. I think you have to. If you're going to let someone hold your cock, it's got to be Camelot, right? Doesn't matter how crazy Matthew Harris is. Can't take that doctorate away from him. Damn right. Damn right. Okay, so here we go. This is the unbreaded segment. Matthew Harris's death sentences. I explained it earlier. He is a scholar, a learned scholar, Duke University, PhD, UCLA professor of philosophy, former. He has since parted ways with the company, and oh my, it's right in there. This is a page of the repeating pages. So I've read this page, not this page, but a page very similar several times. It's a good thing Colby wasn't here for this. This page is not great. Is Tom taller than me? Are you kidding? Not even close. Not even close. So here we go. This is the unbreaded, the reading of Matthew C. Harris's manifesto. These are the words of a black man speaking the truth about everything in his mind. And, I know a lot of you are about to leave, and that's okay. We still love you. Gotta get ready. anywhere ever again. Bomb everything so often and so randomly that nowhere is safe. Binger, kill all the bikes. Binger, kill all the blink mongoloids. Binger, kill all the red mongoloids. Binger, kill all the bike ottomans. Binger, kill all the crackers. Binger, kill all the children of other tribes. Kill all their kids. Kill politicians. Don't elect them anymore. Kill all the famous people. Kill everyone who is not a Binger. Kill all the civilians. Kill the civilization. Kill white civilization. Stop sharing Earth. Stop sharing life. Detonate every bomb. Plant every knife into a body. Burn every temple. Burn every white church. Shoot every mayor who is Asian. Shoot all Asian politicians. Shoot all the Asian store owners and college students. Shoot all the Asian business owners and lawyers. Shoot all the Asians. Shoot all the bikes too. Shoot all the Asian programmers and students and entertainers. Hunt Asians like rats. Hunt all the Asians out. Kill every blink. Hunt the blinks out of colleges. Bomb the auditorium. Bomb the gym. Bomb everything so no one wants to go anywhere ever again. Bomb everything so often and so randomly that nowhere is safe. Binger, kill all the bikes. Binger, kill all the blink mongoloids. Biller, kill all the red mongoloids. Binger, kill all the bike ottomans. Binger, kill all the crackers. Binger, kill the children of other tribes. Kill all their kids. Kill politicians. Don't elect them anymore. Kill all the famous people. Kill everyone who's not a Binger. Kill all civilians. Kill the civilization. Kill white civilization. Stop sharing Earth. Stop sharing life. Detonate every bomb. Plant every knife into a body. Burn every temple. Burn every white church. Shoot every mayor who is Asian. Shoot all Asian politicians. Shoot all the Asian store owners and college students. Shoot all the Asian business owners and lawyers. Shoot all the Asians. Shoot all the bikes too. Shoot all the Asian programmers and students and entertainers. Hunt Asians like rats. Hunt all the Asians out. Kill every blink. Hunt the blinks out of colleges. Bomb the auditorium. Bomb the gym. Bomb everything so no one wants to go anywhere ever again. Bomb everything so often and so randomly that nowhere is safe. Binger, kill all the bikes. Binger, kill all the blink mongoloids. Binger, kill all the red mongoloids. Binger, kill all the bike ottomans. Binger, kill all the crackers. Binger, kill all the children of other tribes. Kill all their kids. Kill politicians. Don't elect them anymore. Kill all the famous people. Kill everyone who is not a Binger. Kill all the civilians. Kill the civilization. Kill white civilization. Stop sharing Earth. Stop sharing life. Detonate every bomb. Plant every knife into a body. Burn every temple, burn every white church, shoot every mayor who is Asian, shoot all Asian politicians, shoot all the Asian store owners and college students, shoot all the Asian business owners and lawyers, shoot all the Asians, shoot all the bikes too, shoot all the Asian programmers and students and entertainers, hunt Asians like rats, hunt all the Asians out, kill every blink, hunt the blinks out of colleges, bomb the auditorium, bomb the gym, bomb everything so no one wants to go. I'm ready. There we go. There it was. Whoo. Whoo. Those pages are tough to read. I'm telling you. Those pages are tough to read. How do you do it different every time? There's 120 of them. Remember, and this is, I have to double say this today. Obviously, we are not, and I am not in any way condoning actual violence against anybody. Fucking camera. I'm not condoning actual violence against anybody. I don't believe in violence or political violence or anything like that. I think it's all silly. This is a crazy person. And I read this to highlight the lunacy that is the American educational institution, because they hired this person. And it's important to know that though this is his manifesto, this is the same philosophy that he had in his dissertation. The language is just more raw. The ideas are the same. Duke University gave this manifesto a PhD, just had different words. Same idea, same concept. UCLA hired this professor. That's where the American education system is these days. And that's the important thing to remember. In light of the Texas shooting, obviously, no one endorses violence against children or anything like that. And the person who did that should be killed. He should be killed in actually the most horrific ways we can imagine. Take pliers and start pulling his fingers apart. I don't fucking care what happens to him. So yeah, before that gets twisted, because people like to twist things into non-reality because they're fucking awful. All right, with that, let me get the last couple chats that have come through, and then we'll wrap up the show. There's only a couple. Here we go. Here we go. Thunder, the Under Armour Gamer says, have you had Belize rum and beer? No, I have not. Fallen Angel, do you think he realized he copy pasted this page? Yeah, I think so. I think he noticed. Poorly Redacted says, would you consider letting members of the chat enter a lottery for a chance to join the stream and read Unbreaded? Finger on the mute button. That's really risky. I'm really, really hesitant. I have this software that'll let people call in to a live stream with like a phone number. So not like, oh, I got to have a Discord queue and bring people in and all that stuff, but like just a legitimate phone number, like a radio call-in show. I've been so fucking hesitant to use it. Because Joe K. Nick, please give a toast to St. Floyd, 2 years sober and breathing just fine. To George Floyd, and this is a genuine toast to George Floyd. To whatever the man's story was or will be, we will never know, because his situation, his life, and his death became political weapons in a world of politics and a world of distrust between groups of people. And so his story and the truth about his life and death, whatever it may be, will always be lost to time, and his memory will always be the tool of politicians and never just that of a person. And for that, not because of George Floyd being anything special at all. By many accounts, he's not the greatest guy. But for the loss of the individual in a sea of government opportunism, I raise a glass. All right, here we go. Love Life 7 says, first time watching you. That was amazing. You are too funny. Hey, thank you, Love Life 7. Welcome to the show. Ethan Flash says, Colby was a great guest until he mentioned that Cal Monica Real, but I'll still give him a lofty Pixels rating, 8 out of 10. Colby had some answers that I think indicate something that I've hinted at. We've talked about somewhere else. Like, so many people are unplugged from these things. So many people are unplugged from these things. I have a friend, and I don't know how to do this effectively. A friend of mine was talking by happenstance to a very prominent comedian and movie star. Not like a formerly prominent one, but a currently prominent comedian and movie star who happens to be black. But I'm not going to say more than that. A friend of mine's talking to him. And the guy finds out my friend's from Minnesota, right? And he says, what's it like living up in Minnesota where kid's mom will drive him across state lines to bring a gun and shoot black people? And so he's like, do you mean Kyle Rittenhouse? He's like, yeah, that Kyle Rittenhouse kid. Well, he's like, well, first of all, that was in Wisconsin, not Minnesota, but you could be forgiven on that. He says, second of all, like none of what you said was true. It's like, yeah, he's that white boy that shot some black people. Like, well, you do know that he killed 2 white people and shot a 3rd white person. What? No, that can't be right. And he's like, no, yeah. So, huh? He had no idea. And this was within the past 2 weeks. This is not like years ago, right? These people don't know. Like, they have no concept. And so, like, obviously Colby's on a completely different like level here. He's not that guy. Um, but yeah, like, I don't know that he knows anything about Monica and Vic and stuff like that. He's probably vaguely heard there's something that happened, right? Like, that's probably it. And I would suggest that because he didn't seem to know who I was related to that situation, right? Like, and if he knew about the situation in any detail, he would know exactly who I was. And we probably would never have gotten a chance to talk. But most people aren't plugged into a lot of this stuff. And the amount that many people are not plugged into anything is shocking. Shocking. So yeah, Rex says it's amazing that you have 436,000 subs when your nightly readings cleanse the weak newbies daily. That IT guy says, who is that professor? I'm new. The professor, Colby Boothman. Oh, wait, no, Matthew Harris. Sorry, not Colby Boothman. Matthew C. Harris. He is an interesting news story. He's awaiting trial right now. I can't wait. Mike Hoyer says, why does it take so long to execute mass murderers that are obviously guilty? Whatever happened to speedy justice? We give them every opportunity to not be killed by the state. Which is weird because you kind of know, like, this kid is the kid who went and shot up the school, like, right? Like, this guy is the guy who did it. We know Nicholas Cruz is the guy who shot up Parkland. We know that Adam Lanza went and shot up Newtown or whatever. Like, we know these things. It's obvious. These types of things, highly public, it's obvious who the person is. Shouldn't we just put a bullet in them like the next day? Like, be done with it? It kind of feels like we should. But we have a system. We have a system for a reason. And that reason is the protection of everyone we don't know that did it. And that needs to be proven beyond any reasonable doubt. And when we decide to take a life, we have to be even more certain by the state. And the reason that we do that, the result of us doing that is what makes us not animals. And what makes us truly first world. Like, that's what does it. It's frustrating at times, but that's the risk. I says legal tube drama. A member of LawTube refused to stream with DUI guy over his reaction today to TMZ guy saying he played it up or something. I am familiar with what's going on there, briefly familiar with it. I saw it in chat. I've seen a little bit about it. Look, all I can say is this. DUI guy is welcome to pop on my show to give his jury updates. So, I don't control how anybody else does anything. I just control how I do things. And yeah. Dorilla says, love that auto tune from Nick. Fire officially the $1 million man. Congrats to our dude. We love you. Hey, thanks, Dorilla. Very much appreciated. It was a very interesting milestone to meet. And when I look at my bank account, I wonder, what the shit? John says, hey, fam, you fell off. Interviewing Monica Rial simp Twitter NPCs. Get wrecked. Oh, come on. I like Colby. He's a nice guy. Poorly Redacted says you could try a pilot run with the gay mods. No, why would I bring the mods on? Oh my gosh. It's the worst idea I've ever heard. Butta Beer says, I'm sorry, not cool. That was a horrible moment that I commented on because we all left after. Hollywood came to Georgia because we work more hours. Okay. What's not cool? Like, are you saying that your comments weren't cool? I thought they were okay. I didn't see a problem. Brewing Bear says, is the quartering going to be stopping by for the 24-hour stream? I have no idea. I don't know who's going to stop by or not. I have to play it really careful because during the trial stuff, I'm sticking to my lawyers only thing for the actual like closing arguments. And I'm not going to bring on 90 people during closing arguments. So I may not do like the mass invitations until after that's done. I don't know. I don't know how to try logistically. This thing's a nightmare. And I hate that I've ever talked about a 24-hour stream after the first one. They're so hard to do, but we'll do it. Kyle Ranger 01 says, hey, Nick, been watching since Vic. I got a job at a good law firm as a paralegal due to education I've received from your channel. I'm now on the path to becoming a terrible person like you. Thanks. Hey, great. Kyle Ranger. Have fun getting rid of your soul. It was a burden on you anyway. You didn't need it. Firefox says, if all the studios care about is money, why do they make dog shit movies and shows like Batwoman, Birds of Prey, Loki, Shang-Chi, etc.? Can't honestly say there's no agenda behind the scenes. You know, I think I agree with you, Firefox, but I was letting him say his piece and have his opinion out there. So people can take it for what it is, right? And then Wolf V says, as an accountant, he was talking about the loss of the unreimbursed employee expense with Trump's TCJA. Well, there you go. I don't know anything about it. Tara Rayner. Hey, Nick, sent you a clip from your stream today in Facebook DM. TMZ may be in trouble still with the video. California Penal Code, Section 631, 637, California Civil Code 1708.8, sub F. Okay. I'll have to look at it. Sir Marhouse, are you going to watch the roast of Count Dankula on Lotus Eaters? Looks like it's going to be good. When is that? When's the roast of Dankula? Deadleg says, do you know when closing arguments are going to happen? Yeah, Friday. Probably starting early, 9 a.m., 8:30 or 9 a.m. Central Time. Or no, Eastern Time. So 7:30 or 8 a.m. Central Time. Charlie says, here's some Australian money. Well, that's less real than your country. Life is horrible and overwhelming at times, but like a real man, I shovel my feels down and flood the hole with alcohol. Yes. Attaboy. Attaboy. That's what you got to do. It's in July, Sir Marhouse. Okay. Well, maybe I'll see it. Oh my gosh. Shane Roberts says, Nick, will you fart your jeans during your 24-hour live stream? Absolutely. Where can I read about the LawTube drama? I have no idea. The chat mostly. Okay. That's what we got today. Tara Rayner says those codes deal with two-party permissions and media. Yeah, I'll have to look at them. What about the verdict? It'll come at some point. We don't know when. Zach Weber says Twitch, not tonight, man. I got to get some sleep for tomorrow. So when the trial's over, Twitch makes a big comeback. I really can't wait. I really enjoy Twitch and I miss it when these fucking trial streams go on. So you did good interviewing Cody. All things considered, he's too steeped in Hollywood to give his real opinions, though. Sucks. Joel Reese says no Ralph video. Not tonight. If I do a live stream tomorrow, we'll cover it. If not, I'll cover it during the 24-hour stream because we'll have tons of time to kill. So MR says, thanks for keeping me up the night before my law school graduation. Oh, you don't have to do anything but sit there anyway and listen to a bunch of people who got better grades than you. Just kidding. I'm sure you're valedictorian. Go get it, buddy. All right. You missed one chat 2 chats ago? No, I read them all. Okay. All right, let's wrap this thing up. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight, guys. A little bit of, like I said, a little bit of the slower pace show, different sort of speed. And that's, I was just trying to talk to someone new, and I thought it was a good conversation. I liked them. Thanks for hanging out with me. We'll catch you tomorrow morning, hopefully today morning for the trial. Have a good night. Peace. Yeah, Mr. Bailey 414 says you're yawning. Time for some whitey stuff and some e-business. Damn right. All right. Peace. Peace.
Oh, he drinks a fair bit, but you realize that it just helps get his noggin jogging along. With his glass by his side and his kids asleep tight, we'll hear some lost-plaining tonight. With his microphone muted, we'll laugh at this boomer until he explains it's all part of the plan. Watch his face become redder as he becomes meta, raging at idiots from Twitter and Erlang. From the white shores of Maine to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we have now. Oh, his lady is fair, and she handles herself with the grace of one who has borne many children. As the wife of a lawman, she makes sure that he has the time and the place to provide for them there. So pour out an odd bag of Balmore at Lafroig. The spirits flow as the ones who get unemployed. So pour out a glass for the tea post on Twitter as we hear lost-plaining tonight. From the white shores of Nairn to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we are now. Oh, the guests are all plentiful, from Dante to Drexel. They bring their perspective and spice to the mix. But the reason we're here and the one that we cheer is the one who is showcasing us his career. Get unemployed. So pour out a glass for the tea post on Twitter as we hear lost-plaining tonight. From the white shores of Nairn to the hills of Glenlivet, there's no one who explains the law better than Nick. So pour out a glass for the ones who have passed to make the law what we are now.